Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. Welcome to a strangely odd Thursday critique stream. Something feels a little off. I feel like the balance of power in Copy That has tipped a little bit more in the bald bearded direction. Huh. What's up with that,
Growing.
guys?
We're multiplying.
We are indeed multiplying as white bearded bald men do. So, yes, hello, people tuning in. I am Sean. That is Rod. Below me is Lindsay, and over there is the one, the only, perhaps one of many people. I haven't really looked at the census records. Kyle Milligan. He is the president, CEO, founder, and copy chief for Copy Squad. You might be familiar with their YouTube channel, and by there I mean mainly his. Like, he's kind of like the one-man show over there. He is also responsible for the book Take Their Money, a book where he introduces the codes and the sort of secret language of copy, really digging into like writing emotionally and unlocking the sort of subtext of copy. If you've ever seen NESB or NESB floating around, he is the person who is responsible for that. And so, Kyle, do you have anything that you would like to say to the lovely Copy That audience?
You guys are great, and all of your problems are not your fault.
It's a strong start. They're gonna love it.
I'm going to push back on that. Some of their problems are their fault, but also some of their problems might not be their fault. It's always a guessing game. You never know. You just got to find out who the common denominator is among all of your problems.
Well, I've got to start off like super polite because I am a savage copy critiquer. Like, it's all business for me when a disclaimer, I always tell people when I start, especially people who have never had me tear apart their copy, I'm critiquing the copy, not you. I'm critiquing these words on this page, not you and your stupid, dumb selection of word choices. That's all about the stuff on the page, not you, baby. Just the words.
Good. Yeah, we frequently try to hammer home the difference between a person's copy and the person. So
yeah,
when
I feel like the copy thatters are sufficiently groomed, to use a word that you used earlier, not in a weird context, but I think they are. They know the ropes. They've been through this a couple times, and they're also kind of a weird bunch in that I think they secretly kind of like it.
I think so too.
Oh yeah,
don't hold back.
No doubt, you've got to be like, you've got to be borderline masochistic in this game, like to succeed. You got to want the hurt. You got to want the. You want to. It's really just a want to improve, like because you have to know at some level, and everyone in this game has imposter syndrome until they make like 300 million, and then they have double imposter syndrome. So it's like you're always looking for someone to kick you and point out your flaws so that you can be like, that'll never happen again.
So for the people that are just tuning in, possibly even for the first time, what exactly are the ropes? I will explain. So if you, person watching, are a member of the patreon.com/the Copy That show, you can get access to special little Discord channels. It's amazing stuff. And so, yeah, if you sign up, it's just $20 a month, no bullshit, no frills, and you get good information, lots of bonuses, and you also get every now and again a Thursday copy critique with us, basically getting content from this process, which is delightful. That's how the YouTube game works. Anywho, because we are very specifically focusing on copy and critiquing copy, we're not going to be answering any like unrelated questions to what we are reviewing. So if you have a question that you want us to chime in on and you want us to prioritize, make sure to donate using either Twitch or the YouTube Super Thanks feature. We will see that. Your comment will be highlighted, and we will be like, oh my God, thank you for the monies. And then we will answer whatever question that you want. We'll literally drop anything that we're saying in the conversation, even if it's about our grandmothers dying, to answer your question because you gave us money. That's how appreciative we are. Now, Now, we are going to jump right in to the first response to the call for copy that I put out. But before I do, guys, is there anything else you want to say? I'll take that as a
Is
no.
that about us, or are you talking to the chat? I was like reading the chat. Nah, let's do it, man.
All right, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
get right into number 1. So this is from our good friend of the show, Warren West. He is coming out with, I believe, a new product called Get My First Gig, which I believe is going to be on getmyfirstgig.com. He did not provide any additional information. So this looks like a standard, let's see, freelance success course for beginners. This is a draft of what the main sales page will look like. It's for all kinds of freelancers, copywriters, graphic designers, accountants, etc. I'm looking for feedback mainly on the headline complex. Oh, okay, that's going to be easy. So, eyebrow copy. For anyone looking to escape the 9-to-5 grind and launch a freelance career, main headline. New course reveals a counterintuitive approach that tells the truth about getting started as a freelancer. Parentheses, what the Lamborghini gurus won't tell you. Deck copy, while also building a sustainable income, having more freedom, and enjoying more time with family. Thoughts?
I got some thoughts.
I have some thoughts as well.
I don't like it.
I don't either.
It's bad.
It's-
It lacks uniqueness. It says a new course, vague. Counterintuitive approach, vague. The truth, vague. Getting started as a freelancer, vague. Every one of those small components could all be sharpened. Like you could say, my 3-step process or something, which would still be vague instead of course. Say, all you need is 3 modules to see this weird way to learn the secrets about launching your freelancing career in 20 days. All of those are little ways to sharpen each of those little component pieces that are so vague.
I think sharpen is the key word there. Warren, sweetheart, my love. It's like you chose all of the classic freelancer copy cliches and just strung them together from, anyone looking to escape the 9-to-5, launch a freelance career, a brand new course for you. And then, a counterintuitive approach that tells you a truth. It's like just these common buzzwords. You just kind of strung them together. And as Kyle said, it completely lacks originality.
An interesting thing to me is that I'm someone who likes to kind of dance around in like the sort of vague, nebulous clouds that appeal to people. But I definitely agree with you guys in that when you throw together too many of those, it just becomes like a really big blob. And while I think that someone who is like really vaguely into like the freelance stuff is thinking about this might read it and relate to each of these things, it definitely doesn't do so in a way that's going to like actually stand out in the memory when, a day or 2 days later, they're thinking, oh yeah, what was that thing I was thinking of? It is just going to kind of like fall flat. I think you need at least one key thing there to have them like be like, oh yeah, that one thing that.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everybody's saying. And I think I understand the reason why this is happening. The only really original thing that I see here is the painting of this enemy, the Lamborghini gurus. Like that, that thumbs up. You can use that. Maybe not here, but you can use that. Good enemy.
Well,
But
and also
here's-
whatever this counterintuitive approach is, right? Like, what is that?
Well, that's what Sean is saying. Like, if it was something specific and concrete, then it would be something. Like, the only thing concrete that stands out is the Lamborghini gurus. It's like the only thing that, you
Yeah.
said earlier, Lindsay, it hasn't been written 1,000 times before.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I want to say what I think is the heart of the problem that's happening here. This is all one sentence. This is treating the grammar, trying to cram all of these ideas into a single sentence. And as a result of that, you are falling into a trap that I frequently call preposition stacking. For anyone to escape the 9-to-5 grind and launch a copywriting career. So, there's the to escape, that's technically an infinitive, but I'm going to call it a preposition. And so you have a compound there. New course reveals a counterintuitive approach that tells about getting as a freelancer, while also building a sustainable income, having more freedom, and enjoying more time with the family. So it's just like you're stacking clause after clause after clause after clause and expecting people to automatically understand the nuanced and complicated relationship between all of these clauses. The reason why this headline complex is failing isn't just because the idea feels half-baked, it's failing at the grammatical level. You're not even allowing yourself the chance to have a good, clear, like crystalline idea being presented in this headline because you're so busy trying to stack all of these prepositional clauses one on top of the other and compounding and stuff like that. So ultimately, like if you want to find a way to make this like very specific, try to break it up a little bit because that's going to force you like, okay, what is the most important thing and most specific thing that you can like focus in on in the eyebrow? What is the most alluring and weird thing that you can focus in on in the headline? And then what are the most specific and like focused benefits you can identify in the deck copy? Because ultimately, I think that that's going to fix a lot of these problems.
I'll give like the old. I like that you have a little Seanism, the preposition stacking. That's dope. I'm gonna mention also like the 4 U's, which is like a classic, like just checkbox sort of strategy for headlines. It's like the baseline, and in order of importance, they go unique, useful, urgent, ultra specific, and new course is not unique. Like right out of the gate, you should just say, okay, like, are there any other new courses out there? It's just, it ends right there. One other little thing is while it says while also building, typically, again, like just following like copy tradition and rules, you would say without feast or famine income, without being chained to a desk, without losing time with your family. You'd say, it usually is like, here's the thing I promise, without. What this is sort of like, if it's preposition stacking before, well, now it's benefit stacking. It's kind of like, oh, benefit, 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 benefit. And so again, like sharpen, like super to the point. What's like the unique crazy thing? I say unique is more important than useful because I don't even get a chance to experience the delivery of a useful message unless you grab my attention. As soon as I see new course, it could be like new course that's free and has only minted millionaires. I've already checked out though when I see new course. It's got to be something unique before I'll even entertain whether or not it's useful. So I think unique is more important than useful. And that's like the big problem here.
Any other insights about this headline complex before we move on?
I'm also a little bit confused about the target because it seems like he's targeting he's somewhat targeting people who have this idea of potentially quitting their 9 to 5 and hopping into doing something freelance, but like the name of the product is getting my first gig, which seems to be speaking to somebody who has already sort of made that decision and it has started on this journey and is now attempting to like get clients, right? To me, it's just a little bit confusing. Did you guys pick that up at all?
Yeah,
A little bit, but I think this is a place where I think Warren has a little bit more expertise than us when it comes to freelancing, because I think a lot of the same people who are going out there and are starting freelancing are the same people who are thinking that they are going to be building a career, even though they haven't gotten their first job yet. And so it's appealing to like the sort of aspiration that those people have, even though there is like this discontinuity between those concepts on like a literal level.
I get that, but it just seems to me like that if you are targeting, if this is in fact a client, get your first client. I can't read the rest of the copy. I haven't actually seen the rest of the copy, but I'm going to assume that that's what's happening here. It's like a new course, but maybe this is, I'm about to reveal to you a counterintuitive approach to landing your first gig as a freelancer or whatever, right? You can give that a name or whatever you want to call it. But just look at this, while also building a sustainable income, having more freedom and enjoying more time with family. Like there again, it goes back to these, like it's just a missed opportunity here because you're using like these very common cliches that you would use to speak to somebody who has, who is like kind of just starting out on this journey of, potentially becoming a freelancer. So it's to me, it's like which way you're going. Like you got to choose who you're talking to.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just gonna miss the opportunity right here
So
in the main headline copy.
So like the guy who's just getting his first gig as a freelancer, like who is that person? Like more specifically, is he a family man? Is he someone who doesn't like feast or famine cycles? Is he hate his 9 to 5? Okay, yeah, I get that too. So Sean, could I ask you to put Saad's comment on the screen because I'd love to address this. All right. So Saad wrote a counterintuitive freelancing approach that Lamborghini gurus won't tell you for free. Okay. Oh, it blocked me out of the screen. I want to be on the screen now. Okay, get that out of here. All right. So I'm glad he put that in here because I think he still misses the point, and it gives me an opportunity to sort of demonstrate the point I want to make. The headline, looking at that, could be Lamborghini gurus will never tell you this about starting your freelancing career. See how I took the most unique element? I started with it. All right. And then I didn't. Here's another thing that drives me nuts about every niche outside of financial, pretty much. They explain the promo in the headline. They basically just give you a synopsis. No, dude, it's a headline. Its job is to grab attention, make me go, huh? So if I put Lamborghini gurus will never tell you this freelancing secret, right? So like, okay, maybe you could say something about this, or this secret about getting your first freelance gig. So now all of it's in there, Lamborghini gurus will never tell you this one secret about getting your first freelance gig. So now instead of explaining, like, hey, today, welcome. It's Thursday, 3:15 p.m. And I feel like I'm going to share about, some secrets and stuff that could help you. If you're a beginner freelancer and you want to get your first gig, there's actually like 3 or 4 things you need to do. While also building sustainable income, having more freedom. People do that all the time. If it's got like 5 lines in the headline, I usually, at first glance, when a copywriter brings me something like 4+ lines in the headline, I'm like, dude, there's no doubt you've slipped into some sort of explanatory headline where you're like, this is what this whole sales letter is about. Take it or leave it. Instead of really doing what a headline's meant to do, and that's grab attention.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. Have you ever read Jay Abraham's 1,000-word headline complex?
Which one?
I'll pull it up in a different window, and if we have a chance to talk about it, I'll show it to you. But it is ridiculous, and I have a feeling that you would actually like it.
Well, now I have to do the disclaimer thing. Like same thing when I say new, easy, safe, and big are the big 4 selling emotions, and then someone will be like, well, what about fear? Or like, I say if you have 5 lines in your headline, you're probably explaining like use the rules of thumb to a point. If you're a beginner, abide the rules of thumb because you will slip into pitfalls and dangerous mountainside cliffs that you don't even know you're falling into. So until you reach a certain level of like agility with your copy, like just follow the standard rules of thumb that make things safer and easier.
I rolled natural 20s on agility personally. Anyway, anything else that we want to talk about when it comes to this headline complex?
Yeah. I don't really know where this is funny because I feel like this is something kind of like touch on a lot, but we don't ever really talk about this. I think in your headline, your headline is generally a really good opportunity to polarize people. And that's something that's not really happening here. This is very comfy. It's very like within the bounds of what people expect when they are reading about a product to help you do a thing that you can't currently do. Like if this eyebrow copy was like, for anyone sick of the 9 to 5 of working a 9 to 5 grind for too little money, I think that is saying essentially the same thing without also kind of putting an emotional attribute on there that like is going to move people one way or another. And if that's an emotion that your target audience resonates with, like working a dead-end job, like I think it's going to do some work for you in terms of like making the rest of the copy that follows this like better received.
Yeah, I was going to say one more thing, but I decided to like censor myself because the problem here is not this. Rod, what you identified. The problem is the sort of the vagueness, the lack of specificity, the lack of uniqueness, the lack of intrigue. But one thing that we can always also talk about is, how should I say, how charged words are with subtext. For me, counterintuitive. Not very charged. Subversive. Ooh, that's surprising. If you need to use a 3-syllable word, you might as well use that one. Counterintuitive, like I don't come to counterintuitive with anything but like, man, that's a long word to have to read.
Mm-hmm.
But one step beyond that, you can do a whole lot more with adding some emotional charge to the language here and being a little bit more polarizing. This is the one spot where I think that you are actually doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, simple stuff like unusual instead of counterintuitive. Like if like that comes loaded with like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. Counterintuitive is like telling me you won't expect this versus like, I was kind of like weirded out when this worked. That's a little more intriguing.
Analytical versus emotional.
That is you just buttoned the scene right there.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So, yeah, Warren, if you are watching this, I don't know if you need to rewind this to the beginning, but we've been basically pooping on your headline this entire time. Do it better. Okay. Moving on to the second one. So, this is a community critique. This is for a healthy snack subscription box delivered every week and aims at food that boosts brain functions. Aims at foods that boost brain function and physical activity. Features modifiable subscription, different types of boxes that focus on specific things, no saturated fats, etc., etc. Let's see. ROIOA is our buddy Alex. By the way, our co-owner Alex says that Take Their Money was one of the first books he read that made copywriting really click for him, and he said that he regrets not being on the stream because he really is a huge fan.
Well, I miss him too. Thank you very much.
So the ideal sort of client in terms of research is going to be Jessica, the avatar, is getting into a bad habit of unhealthy snacking and is worried about nutrition, doesn't like her health food taste, so tends to be very wary of products that label, also doesn't like cooking big meals. With Nutrio, they put taste first, nutrition second, so you can eat healthier and enjoy it as well. The offering is an easier way for junk food eaters to eat healthier foods. All links arrive at the landing page where they can claim a free subscription box and free of their choice with free postage. Okay, here's the actual.
Could we rewind just a little bit? Because if I don't know what RIOA means, then maybe a lot of the viewers wouldn't either.
Do you guys remember? I actually forget the actual acronym.
The gist of it seems like R is target market.
I is idea.
Yeah.
It's like the main idea.
O is offer and A is action, I believe. I just forget R. Crap. Bad at copy that. This is like one of the systems that we sort of favor for people, just put this up at the top so that you have clarity of what you're actually writing about.
Reader, idea, offer, action.
Yep. There you go. Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you very much. So this is all context for an email. Who wants to read the email?
The first thing I do before you even read it, would you highlight it all and just see how many words the body copy is from if to the N?
So it is 153.
So right there, you kind of have a gauge. So a lot of times there's things that you can do without reading any words. You can sort of see the chunks of words. And if there's too many 3-line sentences, if there's dual comma sentences, I'm saying this more for the benefit of our readers or viewers, not you guys. Because a lot of times I will the critique won't be about the words. I'll say there's obvious structural flaws here. There's obvious, it doesn't matter how long I dilly dally with the words, But the 150 words to me is like, okay, box checked. It means you've got a pretty succinct, brief, like you're not rambling kind of email that sort of gets to the point, and I'm sure does a good job focusing on the blocks of copy that build intrigue and grab attention and stuff. So that's just why I asked Sean to do that, and that's something I often check for right out of the gate. If it says 300 words, I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, I just give people the benefit of the doubt because I like having a lot of things to talk about on these shows.
We ready to read?
Let's do it. Subject.
Is there a snack in your hand?
Hey.
Hey there. If unhealthy snacks have a grip on you, we've got something that'll make your life a hell of a lot easier. All you have to do is follow this link to claim a free subscription box of your choice. Postage is on us. If you didn't know, 1 in 8 people in the UK don't eat junk food. That means 7 out of 8 people are at risk of developing cardiovascular problems, kidney problems, and even cancer. We thought of a solution. Something easy, delivered to you, all in one package that fits straight through your letterbox. The solution being healthy, snackable treats made with 2 goals in mind: taste first and nutrition second. If it ain't the best snacks we can find, what's the point of eating healthy? You should snack like you snack already, just without the guilt. Take a look, and let's get our munch on. Nutrio.
Okay. Who wants to start?
All right, I got thoughts. All right. I feel like the email is sort of written backwards or upside down a little bit. I also feel like the opening line is what John Benson would call radio jockey copy. There's like, if unhealthy snacks have a grip on you, we've got something that'll make your life a hell of a lot easier. Like it feels very marketing and very like put on. I feel like this interesting fact about the 1 in 8 people is a much stronger start. And I feel like the emotional like element of it that we talked about before, like having an emotional charge, that you're at risk of developing cardiovascular, kidney, and cancer. I think that's just a more powerful opener. One thing I will say, the subject line, is there a snack in your hand, I think is great. I do feel like there's a Kyleism that I use about calling it betraying your subject line. I think that this actually goes pretty well. It could flow straight from "Is there a snack in your hand?" If you didn't know, 1 in 8 people in the UK don't eat junk food. Is that completely congruent? I think it's close enough that it'll like no one will be like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was, and click away. So I think that's going to work. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I want to recircle this cardiovascular problems, kidney problems, and even cancer. So I wrote those are called stakes, not like the steaks you eat, but like poker stakes. So I've written emails that go out to like the Copy Squad email list that talk about, I use very terminal, like fatal, like sort of death focused words. So there's one email I wrote one time that was like, this will kill your copy career. If you don't pay attention, this mistake is absolutely terminal. It could be the absolute end of you getting your next gig or any gig. Please pay attention because blah, 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 blah. So in the letter, I'm able to sort of, I'm not saying I'm not throwing out the word death like it's dead. It's like but I create little miniature allusions to stakes by using similar sort of terminal words, like Sean was saying earlier, emotional charge. So what I like about this as the opener is it immediately creates stakes. Like, you should pay attention to this because it's very important. And it doesn't the opener you have right here is quite corny and marketing feeling. And the second thing is not that. It's better.
Anybody else want to jump in before I jump in? Okay.
Go for it.
I would agree that the biggest problem with this copy is that it sounds like copy. One of the first lessons that I ever got as a copywriter was your copy sounds like copy. Quit that fucking shit out. And then, got reprimanded for that. If you're not speaking like a normal ass human being, your copy is bad. One of the common problems, and I feel like, Kyle, what you're doing is you're focusing on like the bigger idea. So I'm going to naturally like be diametrically opposed. And like the last headline that we reviewed, I'm going to focus on the smaller shit and try to like understand or try to emphasize like where some of these problems are cropping up as a result of smaller choices. Here's an example. If, then, this means. So right off the gate, or right out of the gate, right off the bat and right out of the gate, we have 3 logical appeals. And they're like 2 of them are using the exact same sentence structure. One of the easiest ways that you can actually like vary your copy and make your copy like be more punched up is to just vary your sentence structures. If you notice that your copy is like, if you do this, then you're going to do this. Well, if you didn't know this, well, then this is also true. You can just delete this. 1 in 8 people in the UK don't eat junk food. And I wouldn't even start there. I'd probably just start with, hey there. Did you know that 7 out of 8 people in the UK are at risk for developing cardiovascular problems, kidney problems, and even cancer? It's true. And did you also know that it's probably because of the way that they snack every single day? ? And then immediately, like we are just, boom, we present a credible statistic, we present the stakes, and we immediately attach it to the behavior that we are trying to get people to self-identify with. And then that's going to be also close enough to the top where we're not going to be betraying the subject line. If you are, I'm doing it. If you are using if structurations too frequently, chances are your copy isn't the best, isn't as good as it could be, because like, one, it's weak. It just sort of like asks the reader to create this sort of logical contrasting, contingency in their mind. And anytime you're asking at the very sentence level a reader to like make some sort of logical leap, you are already subtracting from the emotion that you can get from that. That's just something that I've noticed over time. It's also true in fiction writing if you care about that kind of stuff. The other, and this is a slightly larger problem that I feel like is going on here, is like, if I want to understand what the main emotional appeal of this email is it to make a life easier? Is it to save a person's life and improve their health? Is it to have better tasting stuff? Like, what is the focus here? It feels like we're jumping from like appeal to appeal to appeal. And so ultimately what we're doing is diluting each individual appeal. Like, if the focus was on health, I don't think we need to really spend a whole lot of time on making somebody's life easier or on like the great taste without the guilt. That's just a
Yeah, I mean, I was letting you talk, Sean, because I have a thought. I loved how you started out a moment ago, because what I think it did is it elevated this idea, and we got a little bit of a hint in the ROIA portion, but this very unique idea that this company is not actually focusing primarily first on healthy snacks. First, it's snacks that taste good, and then second, it's health, which I think is a really unique thing. And something that could be dimensionalized a little bit more. Like if you say, did you know 7 out of 8 people are at risk of developing cardiovascular problems, kidney problems, and even cancer? And it's because of the way they snack. Well, like, no wonder when your options are, like raw freaking broccoli or like fast food, like that's a problem. There are no middle ground, good, healthy snacks that actually taste good. Like, we came up with a solution. And then you get into a little bit of that like USP of what this company did and is doing. And I think by coming out and saying it, like, and trying to like charge that emotion a little bit, like, maybe you're struggling with gaining weight. Maybe you're having a hard time because like, who wants to eat rabbit food day in and day out for months on end? And like, yeah, you're like, it makes you miserable, and people hate being miserable. So it's like, well, I'm going to be overweight and unhappy, or like, mentally ill, and so I think that is an opportunity for this copywriter to maybe like lean into a little bit and really try to draw that out. And I think Sean gave a great kind of beginning structure for that.
I think the idea is strong enough too that you don't have to be like cute about hiding it.
Yeah.
Like much like what Lindsay was saying, like you can just sort of say,
like lean into it.
Yeah, but we know scary statistics like this are not are not like what actually makes a difference when it comes to changing the way you snack.
Yeah,
and just like say it because like be real because it'll feel real to them.
Have you guys ever had kale chips?
Yes.
There was a brand of kale chips that I was having one time, and it was just one baked kale chip, and it was it must have been 0.5 millimeter thick of kale, but then like 3 millimeters of like just smeared on like mustard and powders and other stuff just to make the taste tolerable.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you might consider doing in an email like this, especially for products like these, is really just sort of like going out and trying some of the stuff, because the moment you have an experience of these kinds of products, it opens your eyes to a lot of the problems that people aren't really talking about or addressing when they try to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I can imagine myself writing an email like that. Like, have you ever had this kind of health food or this kind of health food? It's like, this much healthy food, and then all these other additives and other like flavorful like seasonings added to it that have been proven to increase your, risk of heart disease and things like that. Like, this amount of sodium in a lot of health food is just absolutely nuts, because they don't have access to other like synthetic like preservatives, so they have to salt the ever-loving shit out of it.
Yeah, well, it's just a known thing. Like, if you're going to go the super uber healthy route, you have to like jack up the sugar content, because otherwise it just is inedible. So, yeah.
Anyway, any other final thoughts about this email?
I have a couple final thoughts. So I have many thoughts. 1 second here. I'm just making a note here so I don't forget my thoughts, because I get scatterbrained. Okay, cool. First, Sean first pointed out, Lindsay sort of expanded on it. The idea of specific appeals, this almost harks back to the thing I was saying about summarizing the promo in the headline. You see sort of the same thing in emails for greener and just below intermediate copywriters. They summarize their whole offering in an email, so letting the sales page carry the weight. If one way to fix that is, like Sean said, focus on one appeal, right? Focus on this one thing. And then, so what I want to talk about this is, I like to talk about high level philosophical stuff on copy, because it kind of trickles down from there. But I see what a lot of copywriters are when they're writing, especially emails, is insecure. There is a certain just distrust of themselves, a certain insecurity that what they wrote will be good enough to get the click, and they end up piling in a bunch of extraneous bullshit because they feel like, well, this isn't good enough. I better throw in some credibility. Well, that's actually, I need to make sure that they know that they can get a 6-pack with this. And then, by the way, I need to let them know that, like, here's some testimonials. And it's like the same thing, like pick an appeal and stick with it, and then sort of let that sort of charge that, like, I call it let it breathe, man. Like, pick an appeal. Like, so even when I was doing the terminal thing earlier, I was talking about, like, oh, this is the stakes are high. And I was like, just letting this one idea just breathe and just laying into it, re-hitting that button to the point. Because like with that first headline where it's like trying to appeal to every type of person from different walk of life, I never feel like, it's sort of like revving up something like, what's so good? Like the Hot Wheels cars where you drag the car back. You drag the car back and you let it go and it goes beep. But if I drag it back like 6 times, it'll go flying across the floor. So it's like, that's an emotional trigger. If I hit one appeal or one emotion, it's like really, really ripping that Hot Wheels car like as many, many, many times. If it's just that one emotion until it'll fly across the floor, it on its own becomes super powerful. However, if I split 6 of those sort of revs across 6 Hot Wheels, they all go just nowhere. So you end up with like a sort of bleh experience. So I think that's something to note. The other thing someone in the comments said, could you explain stakes? So not STEAKS, STAKES. Yeah, the stakes. So what that means is the stakes are generally like life or death. Like high stakes means like this is phenomenally important. Now, another thing you can look at the structure of emails that Sean and I sort of grew up in is disrupt, intrigue, click. And so with stakes is another way of sort of imbuing the copy with urgency. Because if the stakes are high, you better effing click right now. And so in the disrupt, intrigue, click format, embedded in your click, embedded in your call to action, which the second call to action was shit on this one. Embedded in your second call, in your call to action, there should be some element of hurry now, right? So it says take a look. So generally, we try to alert them, like to give them a little bit more instruction, especially right there before the sign off. You could even say, click here now to see for yourself. Like that take a look feels so like aloof and non-urgent. Like,
Take a look
yeah.
or don't, whichever you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we wanted, like Sean said, you know, I had like this high level and he was going to go look at like, check out the sentence structure. We could definitely do that. But oftentimes, if you fix some of these higher level things, some of this stuff sort of will take care of itself. And I think they're more like if you really want to work on that, because so for instance, if you come at it with a sharpened sentence structure or a better grammar approach, but you still don't put any urgency right before the click, like you're like the you know, the wittiest Einstein of the grammar, and then your email still falls flat and you're like, but I did the varied preposition structure. So those are really important. The last thing I want to say here is look at this, scroll up a little bit with a taste first, nutrition second. Like it doesn't make any sense to say that. And the reason I say that it doesn't make any sense is because the solution, first off, like the solution line takes like 4 lines to talk about this. We thought of a solution: easy, delivered to you in a package, fits in your letterbox. That's cool. So something very easy, simple, low effort. Cool. You hit that appeal. And then you went for another appeal: healthy, snackable. And then 2 goals. So you start with healthy, snackable, and then you basically backpedal. You reverse course. You say healthy, snackable, taste first, nutrition second. You know what else puts taste first and nutrition second? Doritos. I guarantee you they put taste first and nutrition second. It's not a clever approach to snacking. That's the problem, right? So delete that line. I saw that line. I was like, you're undoing all the credibility and everything that you were espousing here in this whole email, being like, by the way, nutrition was an afterthought. Like, all right. That's all I got. That's my whole spiel.
Now I want Doritos Locos Tacos. Damn. All right. Well, hopefully you got some good insight about this particular sales email. I think that there were a lot of good tips that we just gave. Does anybody have anything else they want to say to button this scene? Aside from they also want Doritos Locos Tacos because they are delicious, but also extremely high in sodium. All right. So just for people tuning in, this is the Copy That critique hour, my favorite 120 minutes. And we are going through actual copy that people have submitted to us via our patreon.com/thecopythat Discord channel. If you are a member of Patreon, you can also get your copy reviewed. You can also, see a whole bunch of stuff that we have in the Patreon that is designed to help you level up your copywriting game, to become better, to get more gigs, etc., etc., etc. It's $20 a month. No big deal. And ultimately, if you would like to ask any other questions of our very special guest, Kyle Milligan, or of Lindsay, or of Rod, don't ask me any questions. You can use the Super Thanks feature in YouTube or Twitch to donate to us, and we will answer your question immediately. So let's move on to the next piece of copy for critique. Am I getting better at this pitching thing? What do you think?
You're doing a great job. We do have a question I think we should ask of Kyle, his opinion from a reader who's asking about PS copy. Is it really important?
Some copywriting books emphasize the importance of PS section of an email too much? Question?
Oh, if like for my answer, I'd say probably. We barely ever we use PSs as like, oh, we didn't pitch anything in this email, or like if we're just sending people straight to YouTube video content, it's like, well, we want to offer in every email, so put it in the PS. Like, PS is like a utility for me. It's like a tool that we could or could not use.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite. So actually, Kyle, our mutual friend Jake Hoffberg, he had a strategy for the use of the PS that I've adopted in the last few years that has worked for me really well, which is the good use of the PS is one of two things: either to add a sprinkling of urgency if it isn't there in the email already, or two, to fulfill the promise of the headline or the subject line if you did not do so in the email itself. This is where you get your classic, like, oh, I almost forgot to mention this thing with the stuff and the things. PS, by the way. And so, ultimately, I think for most people think that every email needs to have a PS. Not every email has to have a PS.
Mm-hmm. He says, my emails are so short, I thought you would say the PS section is overrated. I was trying to sort of communicate that the PS section is overrated. And I think I look at the PS section like I look at FAQs, where it's like, if you did a good job writing an enticing and brief sales letter where I don't get lost, bored, and start scrolling, you don't need an FAQ. That means like, well, I couldn't hold him, so if he's going to scroll to the bottom, I might as well give him what he wants. I feel like if you're throwing a PS on an email, how fucking long was the email that like you couldn't like most readers scroll straight to the PS. How long? Like, I shouldn't have to scroll to consume a traffic driving email. I shouldn't have to. It should be like,
there you go. So that is official dogma. That is copy that canon now. That is how we all feel about PSs. Indisputable. That final word on PSs.
You'll get someone in the Discord will say something like, I saw your, like, they'll be doing copy critiques, and one guy will be like, I saw that email, bro. Ditch the PS. Are you stupid? Like now they're gonna start like PS wars in the Discord.
Oh my god.
But Sean said
literally gave two good uses of PSs, and then we're just going to land on the prescription. Have you noticed that, Kyle, with like any of people that like follow your stuff, where they take like one idea with some semblance of nuance and then turn it into like, every piece of copy needs to be this way?
Yeah,
like
where do you think I got that reference that I just made? Like, it happens like every day. Like, now I gotta like very meticulously like self-monitor like stuff that comes out of my mouth, because it's going to affect someone's daily decision making. And I was just like, so yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's important to understand when you watch a thing like this that we are doing our best to try to give our insights given a specific context. When you get into a different context, well, then it's very hard to apply the same rules every single time to every other piece of copy that exists in the world. And so one thing that I want to communicate to you, person watching, is that context does matter, and that make sure that you focus on that first, and then the sort of quote unquote rules, the unbendable, unflexible rules of copy later. So,
of which there are virtually none.
There's none. There's literally no. Like, you use words, like write. You have to write to have copy.
Do not mime a sales letter.
Yes. No semaphore. Like, do not use like one of those like the old French semaphore towers. No carrier pigeons.
You just took it to such a nerd level.
Don't
Why go
write
there?
your sales letter in Morse code.
Oh man.
Probably a good idea not to write a long form direct response sales letter using ancient Sumerian or cuneiform. Don't. That's a
Good
rule.
ideas. Yeah.
Are emojis off limits though? Can we do entire one emojis?
No, those that counts as language now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that a court of law officially declared that emojis counted as promises and speech? So there was a trading guru
What?
or business or what have you, and they were getting sued for like misleading advertising practices.
Mhm.
And the trading guru was just like, we never promised people profits. And yet every single one of their emails had like rocket, money bag. Like, if you want to get the rocket money bag emoji, well, then you need this product. And like the judge was just like, you fucking assholes. That is obviously a profit promise. Like any idiot can see that. And so that is now precedent in US law that if you use emojis as part of your shtick, then yeah, it counts as a claim. It counts as an appeal that can be scrutinized. Yeah, if you were trying to sell a supplement and you use the eggplant emoji and like
yes, that's exactly where my head went. I was like, I'm not gonna
Water
say it's not my
droplets.
stream.
yeah, just water
I
droplets,
was
water
like-
droplets, and a really like the woman's face emoji with a smile. Yeah, like don't do that. It can cause you problems.
That's a promise, and you better be able to fulfill.
Hi, and welcome to Copy That, the only copywriting channel where we talk about eggplant emojis.
But they're not promises.
But they are not promises. We promise that they are not promises. And that's a promise that we intend to keep. Anyway, so here is a sales letter for, and it looks like a sales letter lead for a guitar jumpstart program. Okay. Online sales letter to sell a guitar program. People arrive via Google PPC or Facebook. Market awareness, mostly problem aware. That's usually correct. I would say that if you're trying to sell a course or program for getting people started in guitar, you should probably assume that they're solution aware as well. Like any asshole can go online, and the moment they type in guitar, they're going to see courses, they're going to see books, they're going to see a lot of stuff. The solutions are out there, and the market is pretty sophisticated when it comes to guitar stuff. So that's one stage more aware than problem aware, which logically speaking, if you go by Eugene Schwartz, which maybe you shouldn't, that would imply that you need to be a little bit more direct in your appeals. So not sure if there are any resources out there or where to find them or how to properly write a song. Music books about songwriting are available in music stores. It's a much larger resource online for free, but can be confusing by so much information that seems unstructured at times. Yeah, that's all factored into solutions. And just because other solutions are confusing doesn't mean that people are unaware of them. So it is a songwriting program, but my friend called it the wrong name. Got it. Okay. So market sophistication, yeah, it's guitar related, it's songwriting related. The market is going to be pretty sophisticated. I can tell you that right now. Lead type. I'm thinking of doing a problem solution type lead. Classic, standard, hard to go wrong with that. Demographics. I don't think we need that information. Psychographics. We definitely don't need that information. Urgent problem. Target audience is frustrated because they don't know how to write a song. They don't know the correct structure or the terminology. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the problem that a lot of people are facing if they're trying to write a song and failing. Like, Kyle, Lindsay, Rod, have you guys ever tried to write a song?
I've written many songs.
No.
I've not written a song. I mean, I've written lyrics to a song, but not the actual music.
And Lindsay, Kyle, would you say that when it comes to writing songs that you are frustrated because you don't know how to write one, or is there some other problem?
That's never crossed my mind. I'd be frustrated if I wrote songs and they sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I think the desire is to write a good song.
Mhm.
Like, right? That's the desire there.
Yeah, here's my thought. Have you guys watched the show I Think You Should Leave?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys know what I'm about to reference?
Yeah, there's a couple episodes. I'm not sure.
I played this song for my family and they told me that it sucks. And then you have the music producer being like, what are you talking about? They don't love you. Only I love you. I got this new track. It's totally in your queue zone. Yeah, the problem that people have when it comes to songwriting is that they don't really know if it's good or not. And many of them worry to a very large extent as to how it makes them seem, especially if they wrote a really crappy one. So I don't think, people wake up in the morning and go, God fucking damn it. Do I wish I could write a song? I wish I could write I can't even speak. I'm so flustered. And so people don't feel that way. People just write songs and then they show it to the world and then they get their dreams crushed. And that's where the problems, I think, start to arise. So headlines to test. And I'm only pausing along the way to give my thoughts because I very firmly believe that having clarity and also I think you should leave references helps people write better copy. Very simply. Headline
2 indicates the writer didn't have a great relationship with his mother. Yeah. My mom's proud of the dumbest shit I ever done. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The emotion there is not correct, right? Like, that should be like your mom essentially loves everything you put out, right? So that's just not working. Headline number 1. I mean, yeah, people dream of a mega hit song that would make them rich and famous, but I'm not sure that that's the majority of the audience, right?
I would go more implicative.
Yeah.
With that, the secret structures behind the world's biggest mega hit songs or something like that. Oh, Rod, did you want to say something?
I was gonna say there's also an era thing here too, where I would go more with virality than mega hit. Who thinks of hit songs anymore? No one listens to radio.
What, you guys don't regularly check the Billboard Top 100 every single day to see what tracks are hot and popping right now? No, just me. Okay. Anyway,
how's Ryan Seacrest doing? Is he still alive?
Yeah, how to write a great song so easy a monkey could do it. Yeah, I think the emotions here are just a little bit off.
Yeah,
I think coming at it a little bit more laterally would probably be the move here, especially if you're going with problem solution, because the headline doesn't necessarily have to be about a problem or a solution. It just needs to be intriguing enough and exciting enough to get somebody interested. And if you want to attract songwriters, guitar-based songwriters, tease a little bit of something that they want. And you can do that laterally with the secret structures, the secret songwriting techniques of the most viral songs ever, I guess. And chat, I need caffeine. 1 for coffee, 2 for Diet Coke. All right. We got a poll.
I didn't want to interrupt. You were on a roll and I was like, man.
Everybody hit 1 or 2.
Get that engagement up, baby. But seriously, deliver more value. You're doing great.
Anywho, so that would be my approach to the headline. Let's actually get into the lead. And I feel bad about keeping the comments up because poor Rod's face is all he's probably the most handsome among us. And
they've seen this before.
It's fine. All right. You are definitely getting a lot of coffee preference. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I feel like I gotta
1, 2, 3.
Build a Google sheet now and tally it up.
Yeah, I would recommend doing a geometric mean and then also how should I say, normalizing the data such that anybody with very specific consonants of their name get automatically pushed down and weighted less.
Guy's
Anyway.
name's like Cody.
Yeah, especially Cody. All right, lead. Learn a stupid simple way on how you can write a great song from a songwriter who has written over 100 songs, whose songs have been played on the radio all over the world, and also co-wrote the arrangement of an album that sold over 10,000 copies. I'd stop reading after that sentence. I don't even think I would finish that sentence.
It's a really long sentence.
Yeah. So we're going to press on out of politeness, but you're going awry. You're running into the guardrail immediately. So it's the same way songwriters from all of the world write mega hit songs. All you have to do, follow the tried and true songwriting formula, and you'll be able to write great songs for life. Songs that might make you rich or famous, or maybe both, and you could also eventually become a songwriting legend. Once you learn to write great songs, you can write songs just because you love to write songs.
Oh, that's the whole lead?
That is the lead thus far, yes.
It's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Does someone else want to start? I feel like I started the last two.
I think, how do I say this? I can tell what you're going for here. There's like a certain sort of cadence where it's like you do the thing and this happens, and you're almost like inviting the reader to sort of like imagine or dream along with you, which can be an effective way of almost dimensionalizing like the initial idea you're leading in with. However, one, if you're going to do that, the writing needs to be like really on point, because any sort of choppiness there will break the person's immersion. But two, when you do that, I think you need to be leveraging an idea that they can actually hold on to. And so if you're going to do that, I don't think you can really start with like something that seems so unattainable for the average person. You need to like get them, or like give them something that like is like a smaller win that it feels out of reach but not unachievable. Being the next Britney Spears is a little bit too far.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, it's an unachievable promise for the vast majority of people, and people know that. And so this makes this unbelievable. And there's something, who is teaching this class? Like, I want to know who it is. And it's just unfortunate that like this credibility is not elevated. Like, why isn't there a picture of this person? Like, we're talking about someone who, written over 100 songs. Fine. Anybody can say they've written over 100 songs, but like has been played on the radio all over the world, co-wrote the arrangement of an album that sold over 10,000 copies. Like, can we elevate this person's credibility a little bit more and almost treat it like a class, like a master class? Because I think that is like the core promise here. That is why, like, in the US, you see all of that like master class stuff all over. And what is it? It is X famous person who is going to teach you how to do, this skill. And it could be, a famous songwriter. But again, like the promise from even this person is not like you're going to write, Miley Cyrus's next hit. The promise is just like learn how to be a better songwriter. And you can use this formula, like from a tried and true songwriting formula that is specific to this person. Draw that out a little bit with, maybe some bullets, just some more specificity there around like what that formula is. And there you go. I think that's a very quick way to fix this lead.
I have an even faster way, which is, you mention that this is, hold on. Where is it that is a, problem solution lead type, but not sure? This is a promise lead. Like from word one, you're going into a promise rather than a problem. If you want to write a problem solution lead, this ain't it, because you actually have to start with the problem that people are actually having. Now, here's the thing. I don't think you actually need to do that. What Lindsay said is correct. People will buy masterclasses from experienced, credible, knowledgeable, cool people based solely on being able to touch the bishop's robes. Oh my God, I get to learn filmmaking from Werner fucking Herzog. Oh shit. That's the entire appeal of masterclasses.com or master courses or whatever that one info. Did you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes, and spoiler, you're doing it right now. That's what the audience is doing right now. They're leaning into cool people doing cool stuff, and that's why they come and watch the stream. You don't have to be like a megastar for someone to want to buy a product.
Well, to quote, I think you should leave. I am a star.
Dude. Cool people saying cool things. Exhibit A.
Yeah, you need to drill into what if you're going to go with the problem solution lead, you need to identify what the problem people are having is. And it doesn't seem like there's clarity on that. If you're going to go with the promise lead, what Lindsey recommended is totally apropos and correct, which is just promising that you get to learn from somebody with this kind of experience is good enough. And like bringing that person up front and center, I think is a good way to do it. Lindsey, did you want to add to that?
No, I think that like what we just talked about is a good idea for a promise lead. We didn't clarify if there was like what the core problem is for this audience. I think like we kind of just said the problem the copywriter thought was the problem is not the problem. So like Sean, you are a very experienced musician. Kyle, it sounds like you are too. What would you say is like a problem that this audience would have that we could draw out in a lead?
I think when it comes to like, I was a guitarist, for me, it was shredding. Like I could play guitar, can't shred. So like those kinds of things. So I think one of the things that's really lacking, we've touched on, danced around a bit, is that we talk about like what's the problem they're having. I really want to know like who's actually the person. Like what's the person that we're talking to? Is it a dude who wants to be a rock star? Is it someone who wants to play at like his daughter's wedding or something?
Yeah.
Like what is it that they're trying to achieve? And then the next thing I would do with music, because I've coached a DJ before selling actual like how to be a DJ courses. And the thing that we hammered over, why do guys become DJs? Let's be serious. We hammered like blowing the roof off the house and dropping all the panties to the floor in all the sales letters. That's why every dude becomes a DJ. It's for clout. It's for status. It's for like, I'm the man, like all like, that, right?
Yeah, it's like the fast way to like stop having to try to pick up girls at the club, and instead like you become like the magnet, right? And now the girls flock to you because
you are the club.
You are the club.
You are the club.
People go to the club for the DJ. Yeah.
Clever.
So yeah, so we hyped when I approach music, I try to focus on what is the identity that why are they learning an instrument, right? It's kind of the same like why all the dudes in high school know how to play guitar, like, and then you got the dude on the quad with the acoustic playing Wonderwall, like it's all the same game, baby, right? So it's like find out who it is that you're talking to, and then lean into that identity and paint the picture. They don't want to learn how to write songs.
Yeah,
they want to learn how to be the center of attention. And be the center of attention. Everybody just gathers around to worship at them being so good at their musical instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is another good approach to this, which is one, you can just have a credibility or what we call a guru lead, where it's from the perspective of the person who co-wrote the arrangement of an album that sold over 10,000 copies. I would just change that to is responsible for an album that sold 10,000 copies. You know, just keep that a little bit simpler. You don't need to, how should I say, give the whole kit and caboodle right off the bat. We have information about a gold record. Hold on. Is that a golden record behind Kyle? Yes. So just to give everybody a little bit of context while Kyle is showing off, he wrote a promo that did really well for a brief period of time at Agora Financial, anybody who sold above a certain number of financial newsletters in terms of revenue or in terms of actual sales earned a gold or a platinum record. So, Kyle, was that a good summary?
Official boss status on a wall. You can carry it on trips too, if you choose. It's boss status to go.
He slings it like an old samurai, like on his back, and just carries this golden record around. Also,
No platinum though.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro.
Damn. Anyway, no, I don't. I mean, if we're talking about clout, I don't have a gold or a platinum record, and I was there too. So, anywho, so when it comes to this particular lead, I'm going to say that really go choose one of two directions. Go with the guru lead and really like hype up who this dude is and what this dude has discovered along the way to their guitar and songwriting success. The other direction that I would recommend is what Lindsey and Kyle were talking about, which is focusing on the benefit that people want. You know, like I don't know. Yeah, there was one time in my life where I was doing a bunch of open mic nights. I was the bassist and rhythm guitarist for a band, and God, this is literally 20 years ago. I'm not using hyperbole. And one of the things that really struck me about these shows was that people would go to these to want to play next, but nobody was really paying attention to who was actually on stage. And so, like, imagine being on stage and like playing this song that you wrote and still being invisible. Like, that's what a bad song does. And if you were writing songs and getting up on that stage, guess what you don't want to be? Invisible. And so part of the problem I can imagine something like this solving for people is, you know, maybe not going the panty dropping direction that Lindsey and Kyle recommend, but perhaps going in the like, this is how to write songs that get noticed, that get accolades, that people shut up and pay attention to because people want that.
Mm-hmm. Well, really too, like, yeah, that's the problem solution, right? Problem is you're like, if what they want is attention, that's the solution, or that'd be the result. And the problem is you ain't getting attention.
Yeah. I mean, it's Dale Carnegie stuff. Everybody wants to feel important. And so what this can promise, what the solution can offer is a way to feel important, a way to be important in whatever context that may be. And so ultimately right now, I think this is just falling flat. And also, like, for a lead, for a sales letter, you're going to shoot for around 500 to 1,000 words. You know, this is just too short. It's not enough to really sink our teeth into. So we're really responding to more like higher level stuff because there's just not enough here for us to talk about.
I'll give you a brief little format. I mean, it's tough because I probably should expand on it a little bit, but I'll just tell you, man, you open with the pattern interrupt, hit them with a trigger BS, I call it, which you want to trigger skepticism by like promising something that's on the edge of reality. Like, oh, can that be? Then you want to stack in credibility behind that to taper the skepticism. And then you want to show the result. Just do those 4 things. And if you want to, because what I feel like when I read this, it feels like you're guessing at what copy is. It feels like you don't have like a sound structure to approach this with. So the one that I always say is like, just do a pattern interrupt. You know, I often use something visual, like, hey, have a look at this. Or say, do you know who this man is? Like, if we want to use Lindsey's masterclass approach, do you know who this man is? This dude has done X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, and he's going to teach you how to play guitar better than, okay, there's your trigger BS. You, regular Joe, nobody, can learn how to play guitar better than, you know, Eddie Van Halen, something like that. Now you got your trigger BS, and you say, he's already done it. He's been doing this. He's actually not just done all this great stuff. he's worked beside all these big names. He was the guy responsible, for Kirk Hammett being so good in Metallica. Like, and then demonstrate result. I mean, that's good cred build. And then demonstrate result, because the actual result is taking a nobody to master status. A nobody.
Case studies.
Yeah, case studies is it. So then you throw some tests. Now you have the foundation. Like, if you follow that format, you'll have my rapt attention.
That, I think, was a good final word on this particular piece of copy. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add or say? Sean, do you have any other questions for us? Okay, we shall move on to the next piece of copy, a welcome email sequence for Lumbar Cushion Company, sample for portfolio. You are very welcome, and go rewrite it, and you will make it better. I'm looking forward to reading the next draft. Subscribers signed up for a 20% discount code on website pop-up. Okay, that's why they're getting this. Demographic, 40s to 60s male, problem aware, sedentary, seated for long periods of time, office worker, truck and bus drivers. Okay. Email 1. And before we get on, okay, this is a sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 email sequence. All right. This is the welcome email. So just to explain what's going on here, people who, I guess, don't enter their emails into stuff on websites, somebody has entered their email into a thing on a website that has promised a coupon. They enter their email, and this is the email that they get sent immediately after. This is called the welcome email in the sequence. Anybody want to read this?
I will read it.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in to make this easier on you.
Thank you very much. So subject line, your 20% off code on lumbar cushions. Hey, name. Thanks for subscribing to our newsletter. As promised, here's the 20% off discount code on all products. Discount code. One of the questions we get asked the most is, which ergonomic cushion is best for me? Don't worry, we got you. Whether it's support for long periods in the office, cooling gel cushions to keep you comfy and sweat-free, or one that fits just right in your wide car seat, we got you covered here. How to select the lumbar cushion that's best for me. And with a 60-day full money-back guarantee, you can be assured of finding the perfect fit for your back. Here's to saying goodbye to pain. Hello, healthy, sexy spine. Sign off. P.S. In tomorrow's email, I will be sending exercises you can do while seated to help you start strengthening your back. Keep an eye out for that.
Okay. Do we want to move on to email 2, or do we want to just start with this welcome email?
We should talk about this.
Okay. Who wishes to begin?
Kyle's got stuff to say.
Yeah, I hear him.
Do they know that they're subscribing to a newsletter?
They should.
I don't think so. Well, they subscribe, but I guess one thing I'm hearing that is are they aware that by subscribing now they are going to be receiving an entire sequence of emails?
Yeah, if you promise me 20% off, just enter your email. There's a lot of people that don't understand internet marketing. There's guys on my list who don't understand internet marketing. They're like, why are you always pitching in your emails? What? You think I do? Anyway.
Yeah, let's just assume that somebody had, when they enter their email and also enter their name, SatterwhiteLindsey, they also had to check a box that said, I agree to ongoing marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we can presume that's there. And yeah.
So I think that this, one of the questions we get asked the most is, this goes in that classic thing that Sean was saying earlier about, waking up in the morning, tossing the blankets off and be like, holy fucking hell, I've got a problem. Like, nobody ever would say the words, which ergonomic cushion is best for me, especially a burly, rugged, flannel-wearing truck driver. Like, that dude is not hopping out at a pilot, jumping out of his 18-wheeler and going, oh, Which ergonomic cushion is the best for me?
I mean, even lumbar support, right?
Yeah. So you got to rethink. If we're talking about like truck drivers, we're talking about like stuff like that. Don't worry, we got you. Again, I feel like this is one of the things we've kind of touched on a couple times. Is like the speaking the language of your audience, sort of talking to them, be like, say, here's your 20% off now. Segue that naturally into their experience and how they're going to use that coupon. So you say, hey, first thing I would do if I were you, if you drive a truck, listen, you're hauling, cargo 2,000 miles, you're on your butt, you're stuck in a truck for 6 hours at a time. There's one thing that we can do to instantly relieve any back pain or distress or discomfort that you have. And that is, you should check out this lineup of cushions. What makes our cushions different? You blah, 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 blah. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like you're writing, like, it looks like ChatGPT wrote it. It looks like copy. It looks like Radio Man jockey talk. Don't worry, we got you, Jerry. Like,
No.
By gum, do we have the product for you? Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, I mean, truck drivers and writers have a lot of the same problems in their life. They're going to suffer from low back pain. They're going to suffer from hemorrhoids. That's just inevitable for anybody with a career in writing or driving trucks. It's true.
Then the solution obviously is a standing desk.
There you go.
I'm not just saying.
And so ultimately, when it comes to this, you have to sort of think about where they are. And I would first off, yes, you promised them the discount code. That doesn't mean that you have to lead with the discount code. You can even put that in a PS, like for real. Like, oh yeah, I almost forgot your discount code. Here it is. And then make sure that the discount code itself is linked to the order form page of the thing that you want them to go to. So that there's less friction between like, okay, I have to copy this thing. Then I have to go to the product page. And I have to select the product that I want. And then I also have to like remember to paste in the email discount. Like, the more steps you put in a person's way to buying a thing, the more of a drop off you're going to see. So that's just off the bat something that you need to be considerate of. Secondly, Kyle said absolutely correct. Ergonomic cushion. I don't wake up in the morning being like, oh man, my back hurts. Boy, do I wish I had an ergonomic cushion. People don't talk like that. People don't think like that. And so you need to approach this in a different way that speaks to their actual problems. And that could have been on the squeeze page that got them to sign up for this, possibly, which would imply that they are already pretty aware, pretty sophisticated, and like pretty much ready to buy. Like, they know what you're all about. But also, like, you need to sort of, like, pun intended, soften that transition a little bit. Maybe cushion a little bit. And so it's a lot of benefits, a lot of like descriptions of what you could possibly experience. This is not bad. But also, like, I get lost here in what you are trying to describe. Whether it is support for long periods in the office, cooling gel cushions to keep you comfy and sweat-free, or one what?
Oh, yeah,
One office?
It's a wild sentence. That was a roller coaster.
Yeah, one referring to a cooling gel cushion? Or one, what is the noun that this is referring to? I have no idea. That fits just right in your wide car seat. Like, do people actually like look for, like, is that a keyword that we're trying to hit here? Like, if this were an SEO article, are we like, proper cushions for wide car seats?
I would think more apt would be like your wide back. I mean, like, more than car seat, but who knows? Maybe that's what the audience is actually. But like, yeah, this is just all over the place. I mean, if you're a truck driver, you're not in the office, right? And then, yeah, you guys nailed it. The sentence is all over the place. I don't know. I kind of, the structure, if I could interrupt, I'm actually not opposed to the structure. I think giving the people their discount code up front, like, avoids pissing anybody off, right? Like, this is what you signed up for. This is what you're going to get. It's like right here. I think if you link that to the order form, that makes it even better. Like, you're just driving people, here's your code, go order. Like, that's what you signed up for. If you signed up for a promo code, you have very strong intent there. Like, you are just looking for the next step to buy. So keep that up high. And I kind of like this as like a next step from there, and just helping them select the actual cushion. I think the biggest problem with this is what you guys have just said, just not using that, not speaking to the target audience with their own language, how they actually speak. I think that's the biggest violator here.
And if you're in the market for an ergonomic cushion, you don't want to be violated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you were talking to that audience, you wouldn't say things like standing, support in the office, things like that, right? Like, you would be much more specific to truck drivers. That's who this intended audience is actually for.
Yeah, I think you have to make a decision there, because you could also frame this as towards like office workers, tech bros who are working from home, yada, yada, yada. And that's going to be very, very different messaging.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, yeah, how to select this lumbar cushion that's best for me. Yeah. As a CTA, that doesn't really do a lot for me, personally. Like, I like the idea of teeing up, hey, tomorrow I will be sending you this thing. But that feels, I apologize for the tiny man in my radiator hammering away. But this PS, like, it feels out of sorts. Like, it feels like, what led up to this? It feels just sort of like hammered in, which, I mean, as a PS, that usually is. And so I wonder if there's not an opportunity here to say, like, yes, we got you covered when it comes to cushions, but also, like, there's stuff that you can do right now to alleviate your back pain. Want to know what they are? Well, stay tuned for tomorrow's email. I'll be sending you this. And that automatically, I think, would prepare people a little bit better and be better copy.
Yeah, I think what the copywriter did here is a common way to introduce a newsletter with like physical product stuff, especially in like the health niche and things like that, is the newsletter is the way of educating laterally around the actual product, right? So I think that's like what they wanted to do here in this PS. But you're asking the reader to assume a lot. You're doing a lot of you're assuming that the reader kind of understands that point.
Yeah, to me, it just comes down to the simple question of like, who asked? If you're telling me something that I'm just like, I don't care about this, or like, if I'm, just because I'm looking for a cushion doesn't mean I'm interested in back strengthening exercises. And so, like, you got to be a lot closer to my intent, which it seems like you are actually, you are thinking about, but like, you got to be a lot closer for that to actually land and make me look forward to the next email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I had, God, I would love to be an agency pitching a cushion, like a back lumbar support cushion company, just so I can pitch them on like a trial campaign that is, entirely separate from their main list, entirely separate from their traditional like marketing, that is just super ridiculous, like hyperbolic to the point of ridiculousness. Like, if you want a cushion that's going to like solve all your problems, it's going to make you $1 million, like go so over the top ridiculous with it. Like, we're about to talk about the most interesting subject in the world, cushions. And just go like so outlandish. Because that would make this unique. Right now, this is just, it's e-commerce copy. So like, what is the thing that's going to make this stand out, that's going to make this interesting, that's going to capture people's attention?
I was trying to think about that too, and there's actually kind of an interesting play on here, and using this whole like ergonomic thing with like truck drivers, because like Kyle painted this picture of like this super burly guy, and then you think about this idea of him like setting up this like super cushy, ergonomic, Zen based, you know, like setup in his truck. Like you could really kind of play that up and make it kind of fun and funny, to make it more unique and entertaining and different, right? I think another thing with physical products that people don't do enough, but like I actually see it out in the wild, is bringing in a lot of like that social proof. And you see it in like the like Lulu knockoff yoga pants that were liked or were like favorited by 27,000 Amazon women or whatever. So like there's nothing in this copy that indicates to me that like this is the, you know, support loved and used by, you know, thousands of truck drivers all across the country, which I think is important.
Yeah, social proof goes a long way in these kinds of appeals.
Yeah, these emails.
Do we want to look at email 2, or do we want to move on to the next thing? Because I feel like focusing on the issues here is going to sort of click a lot of the things here into place.
Yeah, well, email 2 is pretty quick there.
All right.
Sort of physician certified video, 3 simple stretches.
All right. Subject line: 3 minutes to no more back pain right now. Like the urgency. Hello, name. We know lower back pain is a pain in the butt.
Boo.
Womp womp. To get you started, here's a short physician-certified video with 3 simple stretches you can do right now to find some sweet relief. Stretching exercises for quick back pain relief. Links to landing page with exercises and lumbar cushions for sale. Here's to you getting back to your healthy, pain-free self. Thoughts?
I mean, like, one of the reasons I stand is because I have lower back pain instead of sit and like get the C shape. I'm not interested in clicking that. And I want to be rid of back pain.
Yeah.
I have back pain in this very moment, and I don't want to click that.
Same. I deadlifted this morning. My back is screaming right now, and I don't want to click this.
Yeah, I mean, we could go into like a really long discussion about like the downfall of expertise and how no one wants to listen to doctors and stuff these days. But I think like at the end of the day, physician certified anything is not sexy. Like,
yeah, that makes me think you're going to stick a stethoscope up my butt. Like, I don't want that.
Like, quick fix for you is 3 you can do right now. Like, I don't know, like 3 back pain hacks to eliminate back pain. Like, you could get rid of the rest of this copy and just put, hey, you, because they already signed up. Hey, you, here's 3 like 5-second hacks to eliminate back pain. Click here now. I would be like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, but then again, like, it's, you know, I think what you did, Kyle, made it better, but it's still like there's nothing. I don't know. I personally kind of find this insulting to somebody who suffers from like chronic back pain, and like you think it's important enough. Like you're sending me an email saying, here's some stretching exercises, and that's going to eliminate my back pain. Like, do you know how hard I've suffered with this pain and how much I've tried to like get rid of it? And like, you're going to waste my time and attention by just saying, here are some stretching exercises for you. Like, no, I'm not going to click this. There's nothing about this that makes me think like these stretches are in some way different, or you know, other truck drivers, if that's the audience, or whoever, like use it. Like, there's just nothing about this. So it's like insulting for somebody who seriously suffers from this.
Yeah. I don't know who here has, and by who here, I mean people viewing, suffers from back pain, especially lower back pain. But there's typically 3 causes of back pain. One of them is you've basically crushed part of your vertebra and you are basically smashing your nerves. Not a whole lot you can do about that. That's the most severe kind. You know, the people that with spondylolisthesis or something like that. or disc herniations. Stretching is not going to help. All right. But then there's two other sources of back pain. One of them is your ass is weak. Your ass is dead. It is asleep. They literally call it dead glute syndrome or like sleepy glute or something like that. Your ass is just asleep. And one of the things that the ass does, your ass muscles are really important. I'm talking to you. Your ass muscles are some of the most important things in your body right now, because what they do is they hook onto the lower back and help pull it back into place. And so if your ass is asleep, your back is like, I have no support. I have nothing that is correcting this position that I'm supposed to be in. Okay. The other source is the thoracic muscles, the spinal erectors, I think it's called the levators. It's been a while since I helped somebody study for medical school. And so those, same thing. Some of those muscles hook onto the lower back, and if those are not properly engaged, your lower back is just going to like go into, what is it, that kyphotic or lordotic position, the excessive curvature that causes that nerve compression that we started with. And so ultimately, one of the things that you need to do when you're talking about low back pain is, that all was a preface for this, which is most people don't know what's causing their low back pain. That is an opportunity because most people are unaware of the true problem underlying their problems. That's a spicy meatball when it comes to copy.
That is a spicy meatball. And literally what you just described, I want everybody watching to imagine if Sean was the physician and you as the copywriter got on the phone and you called Dr. Sean and you just had a very simple conversation, right? About the 3 causes of lower back pain. Like, why does this happen? Dr. Sean just enlightened you. That is a very productive conversation for you that you can now go right around, right? Most people don't know that information. And now you can write copy that is like, rather than stretching exercises for quick back pain relief, you can write about like the vast majority of people do not know that lower back pain is caused by, one of 3 things. And, according to Dr. Sean or whatever, these very simple maneuvers, which by the way, have nothing to do with the actually exercising your lower back, can dramatically improve your back pain, whatever. Like, it adds some more specifics in there. But having a very simple conversation with the physician, the doctor right there. I mean, that's should hopefully illustrate how you can take some like generic copy like this and make it a lot more powerful with just like one simple conversation with the guru or the business owner or, the expert or the guru or whomever it is that your client.
I was listening to Sean and I was sort of like, they could just screen cap this and just like, this would be a piece of fulfillment for the cushion. Like when he started the talk and I was like, I didn't know pretty much any of this stuff. I knew herniated discs weren't fun, but like the other stuff was like all news to me. And I was like, I actually had a moment where I sort of was like patting myself on the back for doing leg curls yesterday. I was like, well, good for you, Kyle. Your butt's going to be in pretty good shape and you're going to be able to walk around and your back won't hurt.
Yeah. But imagine if Dr. Sean also said like, the vast majority of people think that their lower back pain is some, like there's some structural flaw in there, like they've damaged it and there's just like no going back. But like in 90% of the chronic back cases that I've treated, it's because of these very simple, deficiencies that are very easy to correct.
And I think knowing that too, you can get into much more like, I guess, curiosity inducing frameworks. So like just taking that and being able to say like, well, just fixing your posture won't actually fix your back pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then talk about, there is a whole like muscle architecture there that you have to like really intentionally like work around, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Listen, on patreon.com/the copy that show. Hold on. Yay. I love this thing. We do have,
I don't. Where am I?
We have a whole masterclass I did on email sequences where I tried to focus less on like, this is what to write in an email sequence, and instead focus more on the why you would want to write certain things in an email sequence and in what order to get the effects that you're trying to do. So I want to really quickly just touch on before we move on, because we do have two other things that I'm hoping to get through during this session. With an email sequence, you do have high, like what Lindsay was saying earlier, high intent demand. People who sign up for this discount code want the cushion. They want the cushion for whatever pushing they're going to be doing. So lead with that. And then also email 2, I'm not sure if you need to be educating people at this point. Like, you can do that later, sure. But also, like, at this point, my approach in the email sequence, right now I'm not talking about the copy, I'm talking about the actual marketing strategy, like when you deploy what. Email 2, your email 2 needs to be something along the order of like, hey, did you get your discount code? Something like that. You know, because right now, people, they signed up for this.
Yeah, there was strong intent there. What happened to it?
Exactly. And now all of a sudden we're talking about the mysterious causes of butt pain or back pain, what have you.
Here, let me basically give you the solution that will require you to no longer need the lumbar cushion. Yeah.
Exactly. And so just from a marketing strategy perspective, I think that this takes a turn again into the guardrail very quickly in a way that I think is not supportive, pun intended, of what you're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
So let's move on.
That was a W. I think having the second email in that sequence, I think, opened the doors to like a lot more value nuggets.
Yeah, but you can always do that later. You know, the whole point when you're trying to get people's email with a discount code or some sort of special deal, just hammer on the deal until it's pretty much.
I meant you taking the moment to explain and read the second email actually helped, I think.
Got it. Sorry, I misunderstood you.
It's actually our policy
I was
here.
giving you props.
I don't handle compliments well, so that would probably explain it.
What's the policy, Rod?
Our policy is that the viewers actually have to work for those insights. So we're not going to give them away unless they go back, edit it, come back with a better version, at which point we will decide whether or not they are worthy of getting to that next point.
Yeah. Get that shit out of here.
All right, really quick. We do have a question. Can you review my sales page? Yes, we absolutely can. Will we? No. That depends. It depends on whether you are a member of patreon.com/thecopythatshow.
Well done.
Now, we spoke earlier about how your copy and your pitches should not sound like a radio broadcaster from the 1950s. And so to point out just how ridiculous that sounds, I'm going to do one. Yeah, see, if you sign up for patreon.com/thecopythatshow, you will get free copy reviews every single Thursday when we decide to have one on a Thursday. And you will get comments during streams like this. Make sure to sign up now at patreon.com/thecopythatshow. I feel like Kyle regularly has to like walk away from his desk when I'm talking because he can't handle how nerdy and dorky it is.
Dude, you got another level today. You're on your dadness is moving logarithmically. It's not a linear curve for you. You had 2 now. You're running away with it.
My daddy is showing. Yes, I apologize. All right. So,
case in point.
Sales page for fountain pen. So this person has read either Jordan Belfort or Oren Clough.
Can that go to 175 on the page, because it is kind of small as someone who's like on this side of it?
I apologize. Let's do 170. Okay, how's that?
Okay, much better.
Okay, I'm guessing this is context for what we are about to see. So gender, male and female, age 35 plus, job income, office type jobs, teacher making average income around 35K or in pounds. Family status, married and has very young babies and or toddlers. Location, everywhere. Even San Mauritius, come on. Madagascar, come on. Everywhere is not a location, just like trying to appeal to everyone is not a demographic. Social media primarily uses FB, as in Facebook. Reason they need product, I don't even know what the product is yet. One idea, I'm guessing it's a fountain pen. That's probably it. You won't deal with your fountain pen hard starting or skipping on you anymore because we offer the best maintenance tips by pen doctors with lifetime personal repair service to make the chances of hard starting and skipping almost impossible. I'm guessing those are very specific problems to fountain pen aficionados. Stage of awareness, solution aware. Okay, so these are people that know there are other fountain pens out there. So we were talking to people that do indeed wake up in the morning and go, I want a fountain pen today. So why would we have to maintain a pen? Obviously, you have not used a fountain pen. You are not the target audience of this sales letter. Okay. So this is 7 pages long. We will get not all the way through, but just looking, like glancing at it, it seems like there is some attention to structure. I can tell already that this person did not closely edit it. So give our immortal fountain pen a spin. Yeah, we got bullets. We got, okay. Structurally, I can see that this person has actually done some homework when it comes to studying sales page, landing page copy that sells products, actual physical products. Okay. Headline, transform your legacy, become an inspiration with Eternal Fountain Pen. Okay. Interesting lack of an article there. Most people are forgotten. People dream of leaving a mark in the future. We have the key to leaving an imprint in history. Those are some big promises. On a scale from people talk about like financial copy being hyperbolic. But yeah, I don't think I've ever read a financial sales letter that tries to promise that people are going to be remembered forever. What do you guys think?
I mean, yes, big promises. I'm trying to understand why, and maybe it will be revealed in this copy, but why someone needs a fountain pen. Do you guys know? I mean, do you understand?
I feel like my gut reaction was like, it's not for us to understand, because he said solution aware. It's like these people want what they want. Yeah. So it's like trying to come at it from that perspective. Even Sean said like fountain pen aficionados. I mean, there's a dude with $1 million Micro Machines collection. Yeah. Like maybe that's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I get that. I
am that person, by the way.
Personally asking you guys I'm curious about this, but
I agree with you. Like, I'd like to know. I'm hoping it gets revealed. Maybe I'll get a dive into that psyche through this letter. Mm-hmm. Because I'm in the same
boat. Are those people making 35,000 pounds a year though?
That's a good question.
Really quick. So I have an example of what I'm talking about here. People who are truly product aware. This is a physical mailed sales letter for American Silver Eagle coins right here. Look at that. American Silver Eagles, the amazing story behind America's silver legacy. Look at that. Very simple, straightforward. I immediately want to go in and read everything there is to know about American Silver Eagles. And guess what? It's telling me American Silver Eagles at the end. Also, Gold Eagles. That is an example of a headline for somebody who's truly solution aware. Because you're just speaking to the thing that they want.
Yeah.
Now, there is not a whole lot of convincing of why somebody wants American Silver Eagles. If you were getting the sales letter, you probably bought some fucking American Silver Eagles before. Mm-hmm. You are probably solution aware.
Yep.
And so most of the people watching this probably would get this and be like, well, I feel like it should explain why people want American Silver Eagles. And no, that is not what that copy is for. That copy is to make you, a person who already has this notion, feel good about having that notion, and also elevating you to understand why your solution, your product, is better than any other. Why I should get, for example, American Silver Eagles and not Canadian Maples or South African Krugerrands or British Britannias. All of these are coins, by the way, that I collect because I'm a fucking nerd.
Yeah, I mean that's a great that is a great analogy. Why don't I read this since I get a jet in 5-6 minutes? So I will read this up until the first button, and then we will talk.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Most people are forgotten. People dream of leaving a mark in the future. We have the key to leaving an imprint in history. Remembered by grandkids, distant family, and strangers all alike. On a sunny morning, foggy afternoon, or a rainy night, they all remember you and what you achieved, in awe of what you did. They all strive to reach a fragment of your success, and even with that, they'd be glad. You left behind a legacy, but how? It all started with a simple fountain pen. A pen changed the trajectory of your mediocre legacy and made it great. Something to strive for, something that gives inspiration to the young and blows life into the old. The fountain pen that doesn't hiccup or fail, allowing ideas to flow on the pages elegantly, like an artist in a flow state drawing a masterpiece. All your ideas flow through your head without any starts or skipping. But how is that possible? Every fountain pen, even the most expensive, hard starts and skips due to an endless amount of potential issues. Are the tines bent or uneven? Is the slit too narrow? Is the feed clogged? Is the feed too far forward or too far back? Is the ink too thick? And so on and on and on. You don't have to feel that pit in your stomach every time your fountain pen skips or hard starts, ruining your writing and scrapping paper once again. Here at Seen It Pens, we created a booklet that comes with the eternal fountain pen that thoroughly teaches you how to repair and maintain it with almost no effort at all. But if you're in real trouble, we have lifetime pen doctors at your disposal that will fix your problems in just a few short days, taking the worry out of owning a high fountain pen.
I need a drink.
I think this copy might have triggered Rod. And look at that poor doggo. He's just like, oh, where'd he go? All right.
Before we lose Lindsay, maybe she should give us her first impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the intention of what the copywriter is trying to do here. Like they're painting a picture of someone. I'm imagining that this prospect is somebody who maybe journals a lot, writes down things, has, I had phases like this where I had a journal and, I have a very specific pen that I love. And if I had to, I get to a point where I'm writing and then it's like, shit, I did that word wrong and I have to cross it out. That irks me, right? I want it to be flawless. I want it to be perfect so that in the future, when my children are sifting through my, my memorabilia and they stumble upon my journal and they look at it and it's just this perfect, it represents me as the perfect mother and right? Whatever. Maybe that is kind of what they're trying to channel here. This, a legacy of somebody who spends a lot of time writing and hates pens that has issues, right? They should just be a seamless extension of ourselves and our ideas and should be flawless. I shouldn't have to contend with that. I think, so I appreciate that. I like that they are trying to show this, right? What I think we get into a lot of problems towards this button. The one thing that I wanted to point out is are you selling a pen doctor service or are you actually selling a pen with a booklet? Because there's two offers going on here. So I think that you need to decide what it is that you're selling. What is your actual offer? I feel like there's confusion here already. And so there may be confusion in the offer later on. So that would be kind of my one leading thought, but that might be a discussion for later on too. What do you guys think?
I think if you're gonna do this has to be a lot longer, and a lot less literal. So I know that what you're trying to do is you're trying to sell the pen that doesn't hard stop or skip or whatever, but you can't tie that in so literally into this dream state you're trying to weave for the reader. It was just so unnecessary to talk about how your ideas flow through your head without any hard starts or skipping. And as soon as someone reads that and then they read how you're like advertising that as a feature of the pen, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, that was cheesy as fuck. Like what? Like that was unnecessary. There are such huge leaps being made here between, like, especially with the target audience, where it's like you have people who are making like 35,000 pounds a year, so it's like not much money, who are working in offices, who live like really boring lives. It doesn't seem like, you didn't say anything about them being like particularly like writer source or anything like that. And so like how is it that they're leaving a legacy? Are they just writing random stuff on random piece of paper? Are they journaling? Are they writing novels? Like, what is it that they're doing here? There needs to be like you need to draw out like what the hell is what is happening, or else this is gonna like just crumple as soon as any sort of scrutiny is put into it.
I think another issue is you don't put negative affect on your reader. And when you called it your mediocre legacy and made it great, like, no, sir. No, sir.
Yeah. And if you were to do that, like, do it with some empathy. Talk about the circumstances that put them there. Talk about why they can't overcome it and how access to this legendary tool, the immortal pen, is going to change that. Because right now, all we have is they're going to be able to write and put their ideas on paper. But if their ideas were already so great and wonderful and worthy of the legacy you're trying to sell them on, surely they wouldn't be in the situation in which like they are now. Like, how does this actually change anything for them?
There's a comment here. He says he's trying to polarize.
Yeah.
And
So
like,
Zenith is falling into I am getting critiqued traps. Oh, speaking of which, Lindsay, you need to go, right? Goodbye. Thank
Thanks
you
for the reminder. Thank you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Later.
One of the things that I always suggest to people, when they are getting a critique, is to shut the fuck up. And the reason why I suggest that people who wrote a thing shut the fuck up, because they are going to start immediately trying to defend their copy or explain their copy. They don't realize that their copy, the meaning of it, the interpretation of it, well, once it's published, they get no say. Zero. It is entirely the market and the reader's head. And so one of the things that I definitely advise is like, okay, well, if people interpreted it this way, I have to sort of like weigh, like, did they interpret it correctly? Is it my copy or is it them? Like, these are all things that help you reassess and revise your copy more critically, a little bit better. Now, I'm not saying that to chastise you, Zenith, but I am saying that, like, one of the things that I notice is you trying to explain, like, where we went wrong here. And now we went wrong here because, well, the first question that I got to ask you is, why are you mentioning the bonuses in the lead? That's confusing as fuck. And so a confused mind does not buy. That is something that you always got to remember. And once you get into the lead, the main purpose of the lead is to convince somebody that it is worth reading the rest of the sales letter, that it is worth learning more about what you are talking about. It is to convince somebody that there is something in it for them and that there is a benefit to learning more about what you're trying to say. And so that's the purpose of a lead. It is not to introduce other bonuses. It is not to, you can be polarizing. That's totally fine. But ultimately, what you are trying to do is you are trying to create something that is intriguing enough and compelling enough that somebody is going to keep reading. Now, at a certain point, especially for people that are already solution aware, that is people who just love fountain pens. Just, oh God, I love my fountain pen. Personally, I don't understand it. I think fountain pens are stupid. I once briefly dated a girl who loved fountain pens, and her hands were just always covered in like purple ink, and she would regularly like had to like wet the tip, and so like she had like black tongue, black teeth, like black lips. Yeah. Fountain pen aficionados are a weird bunch.
It's like a problematic stage play.
So that's something to keep in mind. And, you also mentioned later on, it clears out. Do you think a reader somebody reading this is going to give you the time and space and mental energy that, oh, I'm sure he'll explain this later. No. Your readers don't do that. Your readers go, remembered by, and go, that's a stupid way to open a sentence, and then click off. That is how the typical internet reader reacts. So now that all of that is said, you are opening up with, this is effectively a story lead. Story leads are the hardest ways to open a sales letter or a sales page. Because for the most part, people arrive at sales pages through very pragmatic means. Hey, Eternal Fountain Pens 10% off. Click here to get a deal. And now all of a sudden I have to read 300 words of, evocative flowery language. The two do not mix, does not compute. That is a problem that you run into. And so ultimately you need to figure out, is this the right approach to selling these pens? It's worth testing, sure, but also stories. The copy that I've read that has had some of the greatest successes, some of the biggest sales, were story leads. But also they were going generally to unaware audiences. That's where they have the biggest impact, especially in the lead. And the reason why story works so well for unaware audiences is because people that don't have an intuitive understanding of why they would want something, they need to be convinced, but they need to be convinced in a really roundabout and lateral way that they want something. Stories are a really good way to do that, because stories are a really good way to get the brain squirting dopamine and endorphins and get people intrigued. But also people landing on this page are probably going to just want a fucking pen, Does that make sense, Kyle?
Yeah,
Rod?
Here. I see what you're like. Throw me a bone here. So yeah, definitely. I think the approach and the this, it says solution aware prospect, right? That's the most aware.
Mm-hmm.
The approach does not line up. You don't need a big idea if this is exactly what they're looking for. You just need, that's the whole point. It's now you just give me that, And so it's what are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and beat up the words? Then it still is not, it doesn't jibe. It's still out of sync. So it's not what we would really do with it.
Yeah. The disconnect here is not the copy itself. The disconnect is the approach. And so you need to take a step back and go, am I making the right approach? And also, if you want to insist on doing a story lead or this sort of evocative kind of lead, then you really need to think about making it a little bit more succinct, because people that just want a pen, that just got to this page and all they want is a pen, they're not going to give your copy the benefit of the doubt. They're not going to be generous with their time or their attention. And so any story lead that you do really needs to earn it. I'll give you an example of another solution-aware lead, also a story lead. Page 1 of American Silver Eagles, the amazing story behind America's silver legacy. Opening line, President Reagan's gift to America. Already, this copy is better than what I see here on the page. President Reagan's gift to America. I'm immediately intrigued. I immediately want to know more. I already want American Silver Eagles, but just reading that, there's more story to evolve here. President Ronald Reagan signed the Liberty Coin Act into law July 9th, 1985, which authorized the United States Mint to strike Americans' new silver bullion coin. Subhead, your right to own pure, precious silver. Just with a few lines, I am already more intrigued in the story behind American Silver Eagles, because we are immediately just landing with place, with time, with context, and we're leading with intrigue. So
So here,
Here, after you.
yeah, what the copy here is doing is focusing on the reader. Like someone wrote it, solipsism, right? Like your solipsism is focusing on the reader's like what's in it for me factor. But what Sean just demonstrated is what's in it for you is a love for the enthusiast. You're a pen enthusiast. I love pens. Tell me about pens. So Sean just showed you, like, I don't need to be convinced that Eagle coins will change my life. I love Eagle coins. What you can feed me is more about Eagle coins. If I've got all the choo-choo trains and the little tracks and stuff, like, teach me the history of the railroad. Like, tell me some interesting facts I might not know so I can go to the next convention and talk about, hey, did you know this about trains? Like, I'm an enthusiast.
Yeah.
There's a really important thing here to say that we say pretty frequently, but I want to remind people of. People make decisions or have reactions to things first on an emotional level, and then they try to backwards rationalize why it is that they've made that they've had that reaction or they've made that decision. If someone likes pens, or in this case, if someone likes coins, they're going to like the coin first. And then what that story is doing, it's giving them a framework for them to then justify both to themselves and to the people around them why they like that thing. A really good example of this in the US is like gun rates, where a lot of people just like guns. They like to shoot guns. Guns are fun. But when you have an argument about, like, why should we be able to do this? You hear people immediately go, Second Amendment rights, it's freedom, it's liberty, it's whatever. The reality is most people just like them. But we've given them this huge story about why it's their right, why it's their responsibility, why it makes them a good person to like the thing that they like. And so we need to do a similar thing with the story here. Maybe the pen, maybe like believing in these pens, liking these pens, there is a thing about wanting to leave a legacy. There's a thing that makes you a good person that's valuable about wanting to do that. And this pen is giving you the tool by which you will be able to do that thing. Not like your life sucks if not for this pen, but like you like the pen, we like that you like the pen, and you're a good and better person for having like this, and this is why.
That's closer, I think, is like when you tell the story of famous people who are known for their pens. You're entering a class of person, right? You're high society. You're becoming one of them. It's not about, hey, use this pen and now your family will love you. That's a weird promise, right? But like, hey, there are plenty of important and very impactful and respected people in history who carried a fountain pen. As a matter of fact, the first documented like fountain pen enthusiast was Benjamin Franklin or something like that. And we can all agree we like that guy. So yeah, like we're creating the origin story allows you to say, okay, if I have a pen, then I must be like whatever the person or the history of that story. Like you were saying about gun rights and stuff like that. There is an identification of, well, if I have this, whether you ever pull it out of the case or you just, you clean it once a month or something, like I'm a good American who protects his family because I bought this thing. And whether he never fires it or he ever fires it or doesn't, or takes it to the shooting range once a quarter, because I'm from North Carolina, my granny is packing. She has a revolver in her purse at all times. So, like everybody I know has a gun, and it is like it's sort of like it's just part of like the identity of like this is my group think. This is like where I fit into society. This is the kind of person I am. And when it comes to fountain pens, the appeal would probably be some sort of very niche elite. Everybody else is sheeple. They don't understand class. They run around with these little Bic pens and like they don't understand what that Bic pen says about them. But I know, and people around me who also see my pen and they know it's watches. Watches are huge in South Florida. I'm in South Florida. Watches, man. I was at the bar the other day and this dude walked by. I was talking to my friends. He's like, hold on. He says, is that an AP watch? And calls the guy over. Like we're in the middle of talking. And he's like, that's a $100,000 watch. And it's like, yeah, man, I got it whenever, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, yeah, I got and they just went, but that's real recognize real moment. Like same thing with like the fountain pen game. It's like the same attitude.
Yeah. I think those are very good insights. One of the things that we harp on, copy that we haven't done a video about it, but we do have a masterclass coming out fairly soon where we touch on this. Everybody has desires. Everybody has notions about the world, and everybody has identifications. What we are talking around are identifications and notions about the world. Notions are the sort of like unchallenged assumptions that we all sort of walk around with, the sort of things that we believe but don't really have a reason to believe. Like if I'm not going to get into the gun rights thing because that's a spicy meatball. But identifications, Kyle put it completely correctly, which is, if you're an American, you ain't packing, you ain't American. End of story. A lot of people feel that way. That's why I bought a gun. And so so when it comes to this particular copy, let's translate this into actual prescriptions, things that we can recommend. Kyle, did you want to say something about that?
Make a Baltimore joke, maybe.
Oh God. I will admit to sometimes being a little tired of playing the game. Is that a gunshot or a firework late at night? Anywho, so let's look at this headline. Transform your legacy, become an inspiration with Eternal Fountain Pen. I don't know if you need the hyperbolic promises. I think that actually is detracting more than it's adding.
Yeah.
And what I would instead do is a legacy of inspiration, like handwritten at the top of the page with like, a very flourishy calligraphic underline. And then in block text, the Eternal Fountain Pen. Something really classy looking on that page. And then you can do, most people have forgotten, but the words that you have read that have lasted through the ages were all written with one thing, ... And then you open instead with remembered by grandkids, distant family, and strangers, all alike on a Sunday morning. Fun, go away with that. Look at like one of the examples that I gave from the Ronald Reagan, the example with American silver eagle coins. Just open with like either talk about the gift, like either the inventor of the pen, or talk about a famous person who used the pen for something that you admire or appreciate. Talk about famous works of art and literature and be specific. Don't just say, famous works of art and literature were written with fountain pens. No, actually like name names, Shakespeare's plays, I'm pretty sure were written with a quill, but like if you guys can think of any specific examples of like famous people using fountain pens, the Treaty of Versailles, was signed for X number of years. The fountain pen has been a symbol, a bastion of class and poise in this world. And then like really like you can create an evocative story where you get the effect of like the subconscious effect of, yes, if you want to leave a legacy, you're going to want to do it with a fountain pen. But rather than go like head on and say that, you do it by attaching those events and those people to the object. And then the object itself then becomes imbued with that transcendent something else that people fill in the rest of the story themselves subconsciously. If I want to secure my legacy, then I need this object.
What I can give you like a trick that we do, or a way that I approach it inside of sales letters for financial. I have a section called The Past Explains, which is a context setting section. And all we're doing, it comes right after the lead. And all we're doing in that section is we're telling a historical example that will set the pattern in that example. Where we never, I had to take one of my writers this past, I don't know, one of the drafts we're working on right now for a client. I had to be like, hey, you stop. Because he tried to explain what was happening today. And he had set the context and then started explaining what's happening today. I was like, no, all you do is set the context and then draw parallels to today. Everything about today, you don't explain today. You just take what happened in the past and say, hey, if it was the last time we had a major crash, there was inflation, a bank went insolvent, and there was a war somewhere. So all I do is I tell the story. I say, hey, I want to tell you a story about, 1999 when things were kind of weird. What happened was first this bank collapsed and there was inflation. And then, oh my God, a war broke out somewhere. And then we saw the most disastrous thing ever. Sound familiar? And now I don't have to explain what's happening today. I set the context. So what Sean's saying is don't tell someone you need a pen to be significant. Show all the significant people using pens in significant circumstances so that you swell with pride with the fact that you're about to buy that pen.
I think that was a very succinct and good way to put it. Yeah. I've said this before and I'll say it again. What we're selling, like nobody buys anything because they actually want the product. People want the transcendent thing beyond the product. If people's desires were ever fulfilled, they would just be lumps. They wouldn't move. Like they would literally not be capable of producing dopamine. Like they would have no motivation. The fulfillment of desire is ultimately the death of desire. And so whenever you're selling something, you have to be conscientious of imbuing what you're selling with that transcendent something else. And when it comes to pens, I think that what Kyle just described is a very, very good approach. And yeah. I don't think we need to talk about this anymore. I do have one more that I was hoping to get through, but before we move on, Zenith, I'm inviting you back into the conversation. Please, do you have any other questions or anything else that you want to ask or want us to address?
And while we wait, Sean, why don't you explain to our lovely audience how they could get their copy featured on a video just like this?
Oh my goodness. Why, Kyle, I am so glad that you pointed that out. I have been remiss in mentioning the patreon.com/thecopythatshow, the only way that people can get their copy reviewed by copywriters with a show called Copy That. In fact, if you just sign up for $20 a month, you get access not only to us reviewing your copy every once in a while when we feel like it, but also to other things as well, including, but not limited to, masterclasses, extended interviews with famous and not famous copywriters, and like guides and slideshows and like bonus streams. Rod, what else do we have? We have a lot of stuff.
I don't know. I feel like we've done everything short of the Kim Peel foot massages. Like, so just imagine, viewer, right now, everything between this stream and a foot massage. Up until that foot massage point, we've probably done and is available for you right now on patreon.com/thecopythatshow.
I've never told this story before, but it is also, I think, the best example of copy that I've ever heard actually spoken by a person. I was in a car wreck. My uncle was driving and a dump truck backed into us, just totaled his car. It was a late 80s Cougar. Not a Cougar person, but a Cougar vehicle. And as he's waiting for the tow truck to come and pick up his favorite car, this was my uncle's dream car. He loved this car. And he was talking about it had the wood panels. It had the digital dash. That car did everything except suck my dick. And he was just so upset. And those lines have stuck in my head for decades now at this point. I remember it like it were yesterday. And one of the things that I am trying to insinuate and imply with this anecdote is that patreon.com/thecopythatshow, it has everything except for one thing.
Class.
It's not wrong.
Patreon.com/thecopythatshow. It will do everything except for one thing that I'm omitting. Anyway. Zena says, you mentioned the format was off when you grazed through it. What did you mean by that? No, I said that the format was looking pretty spot on for this kind of product. You could tell the structure was off, you said earlier. If I said that, I was incorrect, because when I was scrolling through, this looks pretty standard. It looks like standard product copy. No need to worry anymore. But what I said was...
Oh, wait, I know what it is. It might have because I remember you made it a point to say the structure looked good, but I do remember, and I had this same thing. Why are we talking about the guarantee and the doctors and the bonuses in the lead? You did say that. You said, why are we talking about that this early?
Yeah. No, I think what I said earlier at the outset of this when I was grazing through was I can tell that this person did not edit this very carefully.
Because
the pen decotros.
Yeah. Okay.
The pen decotros. I think he means the pen doctors. So,
yeah, Zenith, if you replay that section, Sean actually spent a significant amount of time giving you props for your copy layout and structure.
Yeah, like this, it looks like a decent sales page. Like I can see, like structurally, this is probably fine. The problem you're running into is who is going to land on this and why do they want to read this? Oh my God, we have an Alex.
But it was rushing home.
Hey guys.
Alex Myatt.
Hey.
Alex, this is my friend Kyle. Kyle, this is my friend Alex.
Hey Carl. Sorry I'm late, guys. I'll be honest, I'm a little drunk. It was a very good day, so I
fulfilling
was
that copy that promise.
That's what I thought. I thought, hey, if I'm gonna be here, I'll make it fun. So yeah, a little drunk. It was a very, very good day. We broke a record or two, so I've mainly come to observe, but I didn't want to miss this, so I thought I'd rush home and get on the stream. Hey Carl, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Alex.
It's cool. You're only 2.5 hours late.
I am sorry.
It's completely fine.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, I did keep my promise, Alex, and I did tell Kyle that you loved his book. So
yeah, it's very full circle for me. It was one of the first copybooks I read, and it was the first one that, I mean, this is a plug. You can use this as a plug, everyone. It was one of the first ones that really made me see the difference in, I think, how people read copy and how most people think copy gets written. So yeah, massive props to you. Appreciate it. May not be here without your book, so loved it. Could not recommend it enough. If you haven't bought it yet, go buy it. Take their money.
So really quick, Kyle, what is a good URL for you to sell that book?
Definitely, yeah, copysquad.net. And if you want to talk to the book specifically, it'd be copysquad.net/book. Please don't Google it, because anything I publish in the world gets ripped off in seconds. So if you actually want to show me any support, you have to go through copysquad.net. People ask me all the time, like, why aren't you using like a webinar funnel to sell your products, or do this or do that and do this? And it's like, dude, the real answer is I'm putting all my energy into agency clients and coaching, and not the products. Like, because the products get ripped off in like milliseconds. So anyway,
yep.
Thank you for putting that up there, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for joining us as a guest.
This has been a ton of fun.
It has been fun. I after you.
I'm having a good time. I literally do actually do this. This is sort of like my full-time job now. I'm not on this channel in this forum, but like at some point in time, I'm either doing this with one of my writers, someone in like the Copy Squad Lite program, or someone in the inner circle, like, or agency, think client. Like, it's just like, it's like last night I went till like 7:30 or so. Like, it's like, it kind of goes all day, every day. Like literally what we're doing here right now.
Awesome. I love this stuff. It's very fun for me, because I feel like it's interesting for me, like, because I study YouTube analytics like religiously, and one of the most interesting things that I find is that these streams get some of the lowest viewership, but also the people that actually do watch them say that they learn the most.
Yeah,
I learned from our discussion of the pen thing. Like, I've got some insights that I will hold on to, like, from that. Like, because it's a very common thing. Like, people ask that about, like, I feel like we could apply that to e-commerce, you know? Like, people always ask like, well, what if I don't have like a disrupt intrigue clicks kind of info product that, that lends itself to that? And I'm like, well, there's probably another expert who knows better than me. But I agree with you, man. Like one of the things that, man, Rod, I keep cutting you off, man.
I didn't say anything. No.
Yeah. One of the things that is frustrating about the YouTube platform is the people who watch it. Is like I found that we delisted a lot of my what I would call some of my best content because I would have an epiphany in the Copy Squad Inner Circle calls, and I'd say clip that and put it on the internet. Like I just had like a moment where I was like, aha. And I was like, this will change anyone who's writing copy. Like this will be a big game changer for them. And those would get like 25 views. And it's a lot of it's flying over people's heads because there actually aren't a lot of practicing copywriters, a lot of people that watch videos. And then the other part is like, I don't get a lot of hate, but I don't press the get rich quick buttons very often. I don't get a lot of hate, but I also don't get a bajillion views. And it's because I rarely push the get rich quick buttons to the way that I know I could as a copywriter, right? But that's YouTube, man.
Yeah. I think it's also the I mean, and Sean, I don't know if you remember this, a few weeks ago, I think I posted something about how to understand marketing strategy. And just like how I over time have come to think about it and how I generally break it down. And that didn't get a ton of response, I think, because it requires someone to actually sit there, process it, read through it. And it's not an immediate, people don't see an immediate win from it. And that's the big thing. I think if you come on and you say, hey, like you do this one thing and it's going to immediately change your copy, views, discussion, likes, everything, sales, you come on and say, this changed my mind the most about copy, but it starts in a slightly more abstract way, you immediately lose half the viewers. It's that fine line to walk, isn't it? Between something that's effective and something that's useful.
Well, I think
absolutely.
you guys, Ron, you go.
We actually saw that a ton with our early content, where like the first stuff we started trying to do on the channel after like sales letter breakdowns is like, what was it? We tried to go through like the stages of awareness.
Mhm.
And very like we would like read Eugene like breakthrough advertising on stream, talk about all this stuff conceptually, whatever, and get no viewership on it because people don't care about actually learning the philosophy behind copywriting. It is, how do I get a job? How do I get started? How do I make money? Can I make money? And so over time, like there's definitely been a shift for us where like we also don't push the get rich quick stuff like at all, but we do a lot more beginner content than we did at the beginning because like that's how you maintain the viewership without compromising like on those moral shit, I guess.
I think a lesson for us. So one of the things, like to Alex's point, I have a guy, Alex Zan, who was clipping my stuff and putting it out, and he was like, I think the problem is this requires like too much digestion. Like they have to think about the things that you're revealing here, and they can't just move on to the next video. Like the stuff that you're talking about is actually like a paradigm shift in how you approach copy, and that's just too heavy for a YouTube video. The other point, like what Rod is saying, a lesson for us that we could give ourselves is understanding our target market and what they care about. And what I've discovered over years of producing on YouTube, and I still am stubborn about it, I still don't really listen as well as I should, is copy to them is a vehicle to work not at all. To basically, like they view it as a free money ticket where if I just write, because what they'll do is if they've ever seen copy, this makes things worse. I remember when I was the copy chief at Wealth Press, and there were people who were working in like fulfillment side or customer service and was like, why don't I just be a copywriter? All you guys do is just like hype shit up. Like, and the better you are at copy, the more insanely easy it appears to laymen. They see it as so simple. Well, that's because it took me like 3 years of practice to be able to say it so simply to you. And so people see this online, they see the big guru money promises and the flashy cars and stuff, and they close our videos and watch those.
Yeah.
So what's the result they actually want? The result they actually want is that AWAI promise, the laptop lifestyle, writing 10 minutes a day and living on the beach.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, and Kyle, it'd be interesting to see if you've noticed this as well in your videos, and maybe if you notice kind of regular commenters and regular viewers. But certainly, Sean and Rod, I've noticed this is that the people who engage with us the most and who seem to take the most from us are people who have worked in copywriting. They either have been a copywriter for a little while, or they've just had their first few gigs, because I think the reality hits them of what is effective and isn't. And like you said, Carl, it's taken me a good, 3-4 years to get to a point now where I can explain something and it feels natural to me and it's second nature. And I feel like even though it's boring and even though it doesn't necessarily hit that get rich quick mentality, I know that Feralith, Konstantinos, for example, the people who are in our chat a lot, they are going to benefit from it. That's certainly what I have noticed, is those regular viewers who definitely benefit the most, who have also moved into that copywriting world, who aren't just coming straight from, hey, I saw a Danlock ad that said I could make fuck you money off of this.
The thing I've noticed, this is the difficult part of that, is there's a cycling of like when they reach where I can help them, they exit my universe, which to say is they come in as beginners and they learn the basics and they get a gig or a job. And once they get a gig or a job, they go into a new ecosystem where they're getting the owners telling them what to do, or their new copy chief or some sort of senior person, and they stop coming to me. I saw this, a dude was in the inner circle with me for like months, maybe even a year, got a job and then vanished. Like I got him all the way to this point where he had finally made it where he wanted to be like financially. This is the point where I could help him the most. He's got regular copy work that he could bring to me that I could level up. But it's like, all right, I'm getting paid. I can give up all this learning shit. Like,
yeah,
that they kind of, I see it like as soon as they reach that point where I could be the most help to them, they vanish.
That's because the fulfillment of desire is the death of desire. The moment they got what they wanted, they don't want no more. So one of the reasons why copy works, especially long copy. Sorry, I just ate a fistful of almonds. I just put a bunch of nuts in my mouth.
I knew it. I was going
to say that.
I knew he was going to do it. All right. Anyway.
If you ever want to talk about nuts, Kyle, this is the stream to be.
Dick, balls, shit, anything. When Sean is here, it's going to be a filthy time.
All right. He's a filthy, filthy man.
Yeah. The only person on this stream that has known me longer than Kyle is Lindsay, and she knows. So all I was trying to say is that the logic of long form is, it's withholding. The reason why long form works is because you're constantly withholding the fulfillment of that desire. And then finally, at the very end, when desire has reached its apex, you realize the only way to get more is to buy. That's why long form psychologically works. When it's copywriting, education, like what we do on the front end, like this is not our main gig. This is, one part fun side project, second part like hobby business, blended together with something synergistic with what we do professionally. And that's different from like an Alex Catoni or Mike Nardi. The people who are coming out with videos where it's like, make $10,000 a month, writing 3 emails, that kind of shit, or like 7 tips to write a $5,000 email, etc. Like, those people are not on Upwork. Those people are not making their money writing copy for a big business. In all likelihood, they probably have not written any copy for anybody but themselves in a long time. That's sort of the game. And so one of the things that I think Copy That does really well, that I like, is that we have a sort of blend of both beginner and intermediate content, where there's that natural ascension of, okay, once you learn the basics and once you get enough to like not be a newbie anymore, once you get enough to like get paid gigs, well, people have seen enough of our content and see that there is another place to go after that when it comes to actually getting better, leveling up, and earning more money. And so it does seem like that, I was having a conversation with Pete Coyne. This is many, many years ago, where most of these constant, opportunities that come up, copywriting is the get rich quick scheme du jour, before it was drop shipping or what have you. And now with copywriting, 90% of the people that search for copywriting information and want to get into this are just wannabes. They're not going to do the work. And so then you have, it's like a pyramid. You have the 90% of the base that are wannabes that will never actually get paid to write copy. Then you have 9%. It's almost like orders of magnitude. Then you have 9% who actually will get a job, but they won't make the kind of money that they want. And then you have the 1% that remain. And those are the people that earn six figures writing copy with their feet in the sands of the beach. One of the things that they never mention when they make that promise, the write copy with your feet in the sand of a beach, is that you had a campaign go out that urgently needs more copy. And so you're writing with your feet in the sand of a beach because you don't have a choice. You cannot unplug. You actually have to grind out some emails for a campaign that is ongoing.
I'm not being funny. That was today for me. Like, I had planned to be back for this stream, 100% going to be back. And then we had basically something come back in for one of our biggest clients who were like, oh, we're launching something in 2 days or on Friday. So we want this to be ready over the weekend. So we want to see it tomorrow. So I had to stay, and I've just done a 16 sequence, well, 2, 8, 7, and 9, I think it was, something like that, sequence campaigns that had to be done. And that was overtime that I'm not getting paid extra for, but fuck, it means I have 6-figure shares in the business. I'm getting paid a lot of money, and it's something I want to do. It's not easy, but it's, I'm where I wanted to be.
Yeah. And when that reality slaps a lot of people in the face, a lot of these folks, especially shiny object people, it's really a matter of when's the first hurdle going to hit. And in copy, it hits very early. Yeah. And to Sean's point too, people always ask, what's the average copywriter make? And they ask that because they're like, well, if I could just be somewhere near the middle, and even if I'm a little on the lower end, what could I expect? The problem is it's not a bell curve. That's what the average assumes, a bell curve. It's a exponential curve. And people say, what does the average copywriter make? And I can say maybe 50 cents. If you average out all of them, because 90% of them are making exactly $0.00.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it. And like we've spoken about this before, but certainly most copywriters I know, they own businesses, they partner with people, they get shares in bigger companies, and it suddenly becomes shit. You're doing so much more than just copy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like, I've escalated. I've gone up like from copy to chief to agency owner now. There's also like someone said this at Agora, we had copy camp where they teach us copy. But once you sort of got through copy camp, you were kind of up to like, go figure it out. We gave you copy camp, go figure it out. And someone said to me, the people who are going to be successful at Agora would have been successful with or without copy camp, because they kind of left you to figure it out either way. And I feel like that's kind of like the same sort of breed, the same class of people. Like, you're talking about people who end up owning shares of businesses. They're just overachievers to begin with. Like, they'll never stop. You know what I mean?
What is the word that Joe used? Indefatigable.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only disagreement that I would have with that, Kyle, is that I think that there is a large number of people who do have that drive and that will. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's sort of stopping them is actually just having the space, time, mental bandwidth to actually execute on that drive. One of the things that Agora did that I think was so cool and so like valuable for the people that went through Copy Camp, they gave them a regular check. It was a small check, but they gave them a small check, gave them a place to live, and then gave them a direction to go. And most people do not get that ever in their entire life.
And still significant failure rate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were the 3 copy camps, and there were 25 people per copy camp, and of the 25 people, 3 to 4 people actually still are copywriters from each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that 3 or 4 are like in the business at all in any capacity, or 3 or 4 still write copy?
3 or 4 still writing copy, from what I understand, like financial for Agora, etc.
Oh, for Agora. Oh, from my copy camp, I can name 4 of us right now that I know we're all working, and one of them's on my team.
Yeah. Well, it's you, Braddock, Manny, Tyler.
I don't know if Tyler's writing right now.
Yeah, he is. He's over at Investor Place.
I think he took a step back. I'm not sure.
He was just in town for like meetings with them. So
Really?
yeah.
I thought maybe he went on a vacation or something.
He
But
might
the
have.
other one would be Ben. I'm pretty sure Ben is still like just running things over at Agora.
Baby boy Ben Ogren. So if you want an inspirational story, all 3 people that are still watching this, Ben Ogren got out of high school and he just loved direct response copy. Like literally in high school, he would go home and he would just like read sales letters and like take direct response courses and stuff like that. Boy turned 18 and then tried to get into the Agora Financial Copy Camp. Got in. Didn't go to college. Just went from high school and like loving marketing into Agora Copy Camp, and now he's sold millions, tens of millions of dollars worth of products.
Damn.
I think he just turned 22. So, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Ben is an inspiration for people because he's one of the types of people, like you said, Kyle, where it's like nothing would have stopped this dude. Like you just give him a direction, give him a platform to stand on, and go. And he just went because he knew exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he's the subject of one of my emails that goes out every like month or two. There's an email about how this new kid or whatever, like this young kid or something. I can't remember the actual I remember the context. It was like this kid embarrassed me or something like that. It's like a really good subject line, so we keep reusing it. But yeah, the email is basically like this one kid blew me out of the water. I had been there the same time as him. I was dusting him, and then I messed up. And it was the story of basically how like I had really strong beginner's luck and like took a little bit of a break. And he put out, I think that's what the email says. He put out like 10 promos and didn't come close to me or something like that. But then because of the reps he was putting in, he blasted past me because he was putting in more reps in shorter times than I was. He's a good story.
Yeah. And that's a good story, I think, for everybody. Oh, sorry. After you, Alex.
I was just saying, young people can do it. You know, like, it's stupid saying it now, but like that's still close to me. We were talking about this earlier on in the pub, but like, I think there's, we've kind of broadly covered. There's a skill, there's a will, but there's also something holding a lot of people back, which is embarrassment or like awkwardness or like, shit, am I too young for this? I don't know enough. I haven't been in this world long enough to like put myself out there. And I think it's super important just to go for it. As cliche as advice as that is, just do something. Just put yourself out there and don't be afraid of fucking up, because that's the only, whether you're good or not, like the market will let you know. Your client, your prospects will let you know, but they're not going to let you know if you don't even go out to them in the first place.
There is, go ahead, Ra.
I would flip that around too. It's not just that young people can do it. It's that you are never too old to take a shot at something. It's funny. So context for everybody. In January I went to Japan, and I speak Japanese. Yada 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 yada. And I was on the subway one day, and they have these like TV ads basically, and it was about this lady who was like 80 years old and like released a mobile game app and sold like millions of dollars, whatever. And they have this like little inspirational thing where she's being interviewed, and she's like, "Yeah, it's never too old to try something new." And I was just like, wow, like holy shit! Like we talk to so many people who are, trying to do better for themselves and by themselves by trying to get into copywriting, trying to make more money, trying to find a source of income that feels sustainable to them, no matter what their context is. And we hear from people, am I too old? Am I too young? Do I need a degree? And the answer is always no. It's just, you need to have the will to try to put yourself out there to just do the thing. And you might not succeed, but you might also succeed. And it's just a matter of, do you have the willpower? Do you have the bravery, the courage to try? And so I think it's so important that people just try.
There is a I think there's a threshold for all of us in this sort of pre-programming of authority for permission. So I think like what a lot of people don't understand, like you can understand it intellectually, but in your bones, it's very difficult to put into practice, which is like, do not ask for permission. And so from the moment you enter school, there's always like a teacher. I didn't experience this moment, even though I was doing all sorts of like, entrepreneur, like I quit my accounting job and I was going to write novels. And so you would think that that wouldn't ever happen to me. Like I had already burned the boats in that regard. And I had already, like I sold all my stuff and I moved back home with my granny. So like I was going to become a writer was my goal. Ambitious as I was, it wasn't until the stakes were high. It wasn't until I became the copy chief at Wealth Press that I finally felt that sort of terror or dread about decision making that I feel like everyone experiences at some specific level to them. But like when I became the chief and we had any talk about copy, like even when I was a copywriter, there was a publisher, there was a chief, there was other teams. But when I was the chief, if there was a copy question, the buck would stop. Like it would go all the way up and then stop with me. And then if I said, what do you think? Or if I said, what do you think? Everyone would be like, what do you mean? What do I think? I don't know shit. You're Kyle Milligan. You're the chief. Yeah. And it felt like in my body, like the way it felt physically was as if I was sort of standing over the edge of like a cliff and look like there was nothing. It felt like there was no safety net. And that was the first time I ever experienced that feeling. And that hit me. And I feel like, oh, there are people that feel like that about leaving their job. There are people that feel like that about asking a client. Like they don't feel entitled to say, I need to write for you because I can do a really good job for you. They feel like they have to have someone to give them like you did it. Mm-hmm. And that's why there are a lot of people that like watch YouTube videos for eternity. They're sort of waiting for that moment to be like, you can pitch a client. Like they need that sort of validation or assurance. And so one of the biggest skills you have to develop is that assertiveness, initiative, and intention to have the gumption to say, I would be a worthy asset for your business. And a lot of people, that's all they're really looking for when they watch our stuff, is they need to feel that sense of security that I bring enough to the table that I can. But there's always that like, and they don't even know this threshold or this boundary exists in their head. It's silent and invisible. They don't know why they can't just pitch, but it is because since the day they were born, there was always someone who would give you a grade or tell you did a good job or a bad job. And whenever you're on your own, that sort of authority figure, which was serving as a safety net for you and a guidepost, vanishes and it's all on you. And so I think that's a really tough mental struggle that a lot of these freelancers have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about the questions we get, it's how much research is the right amount of research? When am I ready to pitch clients? Is this the right length of copy? Should I be doing? It's all about affirmation. It's all about like,
what happens if my copy fails?
Yeah, it's all about like, do I? Yeah, I think I've never thought about it like that before, Carl. But it's, do I have permission to do any of these things? Yeah.
Can I then let me put a button into this conversation by simply saying, that you, all 4 people who managed to make it to this point in the video, because you watched everything leading up to this point in the video, you now have permission. You deserve a copywriting job. You have everything that it takes to get a copywriting job. You do not need to watch another YouTube video or read another book except for Take Their Money by Kyle Milligan, which you can get at copysquad.net/book. All you need to do the moment you click off of this is pitch somebody. That's it. Literally find an email and write to them and say, hey, I noticed this thing is wrong with your website, or this is a strategy that you can use to make more money or more revenue from doing a thing. I have a few ideas. Would you like to schedule a call? That's it. Oh, and if you don't want to do cold email, you can make an Upwork profile. It is literally that simple. You are the biggest obstacle between you and success. Always. I mean, there might be some other extreme, like for example, if you were born with like no corpus callosum or like half of your brain or something like that, there might be something a little wrong with you. But barring all of that, all the stuff that you have no control over, you do have control over your fate. So you also have my full permission, and you also deserve to go to patreon.com/thecopythatshow, where you can get more bonus
Jesus
content,
Christ.
more stuff like that, and also get
That's where you
your
get
content reviewed
permission.
by us.
If you want real permission, you've got to sign up to the Patreon.
No.
There's this whole form, and it's all good.
They have permission before they go to Patreon.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
But they also have permission to do that. Anyway, let's actually look at this final piece of copy, and then we are going to call it a night. I need to make food for my kids, and as much as I love you 3 gents, they are more important to me. Sorry.
Oh.
tough titty.
Wow.
I love my kids a little bit more than you guys. So let's.
But what all 3 of us put together is it equal 1 kid?
That's a good point.
Maybe the newborn.
He's not proved himself yet.
Yeah, right. The judge is still out on the newborn.
He can't even fucking speak. What's the point?
Might be a biter for all
No,
we know. You gotta watch.
Yeah,
Just wait.
exactly. He's literally just a tube that goes from like mouth to ass. Like the food
Oh,
goes in
man.
and then poop just comes immediately out. It's crazy how much he poops.
I've still got to eat as well, Sean. Come on.
Now, with that in mind, let's look at this. I crack myself up. That's probably a bad thing. Anyway, Medium, a landing page, target audience. So I'm gonna take this is a lesson, timeout lesson moment. What is a landing page? A landing page is just some part of a website that is not the home page that you are driving traffic to. What does driving traffic to mean? PPC ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, emails. You are trying to get a person to undertake an action or to click a thing such that they arrive at this page, that they literally land on this page when they do something. It's a landing page. There are various kinds of landing pages. There's content. You probably shouldn't, unless you have a good reason to, be paying to drive traffic to content. That would be stupid. I also do it. Squeeze pages. That's literally a page, a type of landing page where you're just trying to literally squeeze one piece of information out of the person there. Usually it's an email address, but sometimes it's a phone number as well. Sales pages are literally places where you click on, you land there, and it's all of a sudden this thing is trying to sell you on a thing. Product pages or landing pages. There are all sorts of different kinds of landing pages. Okay. So when you say, Medium, a landing page, keep in mind what I just said to you, because a landing page doesn't actually tell me anything.
People ask that question in YouTube comments. How do I write copy for a landing page? And I'm like, a landing page is literally any page that I arrive on. Like, I don't know. It's a frustrating question, but I don't have emotions, so I take it like a champ.
You cry. You cried at the beginning of Up. I know that for a fact. All right.
Oh God, who didn't cry at the beginning of Up? Come on, man.
Exactly. All right.
No.
So, look at this. We need more Kyle Milligan on Copy That Show, or these 3 gents to Copy Squad YouTube channel.
Oh God, here I go again.
It's so beautiful. Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Kyle, we would love to have you back on the show, and if you want to invite any or all of us onto your show, we would be delighted to be had.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
So-
man. I feel like this is a super dope format. Like I used to do this way back in the day, and so we could just do this shit on my channel too. We could just go. It's like going to each other's houses when you're kids and staying over. You guys will go to my house next week, and we'll go to your house.
It's very
I don't
fun.
know,
We need
man.
to ask permission, but yeah.
No, you have permission, Alex. We went
Oh,
through
yeah.
the whole spiel.
All right. Well, that's because I'm a patron. So
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Are you still
All
a
right.
patron?
I can't remember. Probably. I guess I still get emails, so maybe.
You should unsubscribe from our Patreon.
Yes.
I'm just paying. I've probably paid like $2,000 at this point, just into the business, not even as a partner, just as a
Jesus
customer.
Christ.
I'll cancel that tonight. All right, let's get to the coffee.
All right, Alex, cancel that. But everybody else, uncancel their cancellation and join us at patreon.com/thecoffeethat. All right. Target audience: younger men looking to modify their car. Stage of awareness: solution aware. Okay, we've been talking a lot about solution aware stuff today. This has been the solution aware stream, which is interesting because I think, Kyle, you and I probably have like the least amount of experience writing solution aware copy. Like financial copy is usually like unaware to problem aware, and that's it. You don't get a whole like, unless you're writing, how should I say, invitation leads or like upsell copy or like, how should I say, like alliance copy, which is like a bundle of like an entire business's all of their products like for a lifetime. You very rarely are speaking to people that are any more aware than problem aware. So yeah.
Yeah, in financial publishing, yeah.
In financial publishing in particular. But solution aware, that's I think more Alex's wheelhouse personally. So
Yeah, especially with service-based businesses, the majority of service-based businesses you're writing for are solution aware. It's when people search for, hey, I know I've got a burst pipe. I know I have to talk to a plumber. Like, I know that's where I should be looking. It's just I'm looking for the right one. It's that kind of mentality. So I can immediately, I mean, Sean, I'll let you read this first, but immediately from the headline, I can tell you something to improve this.
Cool.
So, link to actual landing page. Give your vehicle a touch of luxury. KW's top-rated professional window tinting company. Call us now. Octothorpe. Anyway. All
the
right.
best.
Thank you. Subhead: customer satisfaction focused experts. We are driven, pun intended, to ensure every one of our customers is 100% satisfied with our services.
Should put a car
Long-lasting,
emoji in there.
maybe. Long-lasting premium quality tint. No haze, no bubbles, no peeling, no fading. Outstanding customer service, competitive price, unmatched convenience and simplicity. We cover all of your tinting need. Automotive, your first call to protect and preserve your vehicle's upholstery from the sun's harmful UV rays. Residential, servicing Kitchener, Waterloo, Legit Tint is your go-to tint professionals for your home's tint needs. That sentence gave me a stroke.
Is that a thing people do? They tint their house windows?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is
but that was
Waterloo the
used-
toilet?
I think it's Canada, so they're weird, but you know.
So yes, the toilet.
So servicing
oh.
Kitchener, Waterloo. So I think Legit Tint is your go-to tint professionals for your home no
Well,
apostrophe tint needs.
They stole the S from needs and the header and then put it on professionals.
Got it. Yeah. Sorry. So, commercial. Set your business apart with Legit Tints, premium tint services. Contact us now. Solar Guard. Okay, let's just get right to the headline and just start
I mean,
talking about this.
so immediately, you said the solution aware, which forget solution aware for a second. Anyone who is coming onto this landing page already knows that they want tinting for their windows. Like they know that they want that, otherwise they wouldn't have searched for it. The likelihood is, and this is just realistic at this point, they either come from a Google ad because they've typed in tinting services near me, window tinting, whatever. So you're running a Google ad, or they have come from an organic search engine results page, i.e. Google, like you're the top rated company in your area. Fantastic. They do not need to be two things. One, they don't need to be convinced of why to do it. They're already coming onto your page to get this service done. But two, you're also assuming that a touch of luxury or luxury is what they give a shit about, which is wrong for two reasons. One, because there's probably about 4 or 5 reasons someone could want this service. That might be the best one. I don't know. I haven't done the research. But the second reason is, on this page, you are kind of contradicting what you're saying up here. Up here, you're saying give your vehicle a touch of luxury, but then you're talking about how you can do it for residential and how it can you can protect from the sun's rays. So there's so much contradictory messaging here. And this is coming from, I've written for dozens of service-based businesses, especially local-based businesses. The best thing that you can possibly do, and it's almost stupid how simple it is, but if someone is coming to you because they're coming from an intent-based search, i.e. they have typed in, window tinting near me, the best thing you can do is show them immediately, make it a no-brainer offer that this is, right, either you immediately disarm the biggest objection they have, which might be that something as simple as tinting is super expensive usually. So if you just have the best prices for tinting in Waterloo, right? Is that a fantastic headline? No. Is it like straight to the point and direct probably to what people care about? Most likely. Far more useful than a relatively abstract headline like give your vehicle a touch of luxury. If you can hit straight at the reason that the reason that they're looking at a web page, first of all, which is they already want something, but two, you're either disarming their biggest objection, or you're showing why you are the best, or you have something unique about your service that makes you great. Awesome. Is it the time? Is it that most people who are looking for tinting want it done quick? Which, by the way, I would say about 80% of service-based businesses that I've worked for, speed of delivery is almost always one of the best things to talk about, because everyone wants shit done quick. The reason they're Googling something is because it's urgent, because they're like, oh God, I want to get this out of the way, whether it's window repair, whether it's car modification, whether it's fireplace installment, all this shit they want done ASAP. So if you can say, quote within an hour, or quote immediately, or next day install, or whatever, fantastic. So you could punch this up just by thinking, what intent do people have coming to this page? How can I immediately match that with what I'm telling them? And how can I show that I get rid of their biggest objection, or I'm showing that I am the best choice for them immediately? Give your vehicle a touch of luxury is wasting space on the page. Don't want to take up too much more time for what I'm saying here, but that is the biggest thing I can tell you from direct experience and just copy logic coming into a page like this for a service and solution aware.
Yeah, I think luxury is also something that like 62-year-old women want, not like 18-year-old dudes who are trying to mod their cars.
Maybe. I wonder, like, here's something to understand about service businesses and products like this. The markets are generally barbell shaped. Everybody is either competing to be the cheapest solution, or they're competing to be the best, most premium solution that also charges the most. And you know what? You can make a ton of money in this life by being either the most expensive option or the least expensive option. You will make no fucking money if you were somewhere in between. And so you kind of have to decide which side of the barbell you're going to be on, especially when you're marketing for a company. And you need to have a sort of honest conversation with them about this. Do you want to highlight that it's the speediest option? You got to be able to promise that. Is it the cheapest option? Got to be able to promise that. Are you going to offer price matching? Like, hey, if you get a quote that's lower than our quote, we will match that quote and subtract $1. Wow. All of a sudden, I want that service. But that's if you're going with the cheapest. Or, if you are going with the most expensive route, then you need to be able to say, like, we guarantee, like the guarantee is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting there. Like for example, I spent a lot of money replacing every window in my house with Pella windows. Pella is the most expensive option. And I did it because the windows come with a lifetime replace. I never have to replace a window in my life. I literally call a person and then somebody shows up the next day and they replace the window or the sash. Like, no problem, no questions asked. It is that lifetime guarantee that they will always fix their work. That was what made it worth it to me. And so, in addition to the fact that the brand and the house prices and the craziness and the Biden, all that. So
Biden.
yeah, Biden. So like that's why I chose them. It had nothing to do with the windows themselves, though I do appreciate the lower like heating and cooling bills. I chose them because of what else came with that. And so you really need to think about like what are you going to highlight here that either makes this the most premium, or conversely, how do you articulate and make this the least expensive? Does that make sense?
I think,
Yes.
yeah. Sorry, Carl, go ahead.
I mean, for me, there's not too much I could add because you guys covered so much. Like the messaging is incongruent. The headlines just give a touch of luxury and it goes into residential. Just feels incongruent, especially talking about how did they get here and the intent and all that stuff. Sean and Alex both had sort of mirror messaging. Alex said, answer their biggest pain point or objection about this right away, or explain why yours is the best. In my copy bones, I always think why yours is different. And sometimes that can be you're the best at this thing. But my thought when I hear, explain how you're the speediest or this or that, what you essentially want to do is you want to present your USP, because that's when it comes to Windows, what is different, not about your windows, but about your organization, right? Because the windows are windows. This window here probably does the same thing Sean's window does there, but I bet you his windows are nicer or something. So, USP, unique selling proposition. That is the key single differentiator that you highlight. It doesn't have to be that it's super unique and no one else in the world has lifetime guarantee. Like, of course, other businesses have lifetime guarantees, but it's the one that you try to highlight that makes you stand out in your marketplace. And we bringing it full circle into the 4 U's of a headline. I said in order, the most important is unique, useful, urgent, and then ultra specific. So unique always wins. Ryan McGrath used to say this to us all the time in Copy Camp. He would say, new and different is better than better. So you always want to try not just to be better, but somehow a little bit different too. And that's probably one of those things, like when Alex says either smash their biggest pain point or objection, smash that right away, or you have to nail that unique element part of the copy.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think something that, and this is important for beginners especially, is that when you hear USP, is to not get confused and think that, right, like as Carl says, this needs to be a universally unique thing and no one else can have anything like this. There is a real USP and there's a perceived USP. The real USP is, genuinely you have something that no one else has. You have a patented system of your product, which, wow, that's amazing. A perceived USP, maybe something that a bunch of other companies have, but no one is talking about. And again, I'm going to revert to plumbing because I wrote for 2 plumbing firms. And a big thing there is that they don't, most plumbing firms, or in the area I was in, most of the plumbing firms wouldn't charge you if they came out and you didn't have a problem. They would only charge you if they were actually going to fix a problem for you. But no one shouted about that. It was just kind of, they thought it was assumed, but no one was talking about it. The minute we came up with Google ads, which were just, it was like local area plumbing, no charge for call out. That absolutely destroyed, because that is the general thing, but no one talks about it. It's like buried in the 7th paragraph of the About Us page on most people's websites. So that's the kind of thing, like if you know that no one else is talking about that with your service, then that might be something that is immediately makes you unique in the eyes of the reader. So it's super important. Yeah.
I don't think we have a lot that we can add to this that we haven't already covered.
It's a messaging. It's certainly a messaging thing immediately. And I think once you, and again, this comes from just having written for so many services. Most people for services, they are looking to get something immediate, and they will look at the Google ad, they will look at the SERP result, they will click on the page, and they will look at the first like 3 lines. Maybe they'll scroll down to the bottom. And this is coming from like Hotjar. I know that this is what people do. They don't read every fucking thing, you know, and this is where it's important to realize like the difference between, and it's still a skill. Like it's absolutely a skill, but like not thinking you have to write a sales letter for a high intent solution, like awareness, solution based kind of funnel. You don't have to write it to the same degree. They will look at the headline. They'll go, right, yeah, this seems like what I'm looking for. Great. Is the form easy to fill out? Yes. Is there a number immediately? Cool. I'll call them up. It can be as simple as that when it comes to things like this. I'm not saying you shouldn't do more. You should always do more because you want to have all bases covered. And if people are looking around and looking at, okay, well, what's the pricing like? What's the guarantee? Fucking put that down. You know, have that front and center of it's great. But remember that the most important shit is that headline, because people are looking for that immediate, like, is this the right thing? It seems like the right thing. Okay, right, cool. Yep, seems to make sense. Tick, tick, tick. No call out charge. Right. This is me. Send a form.
Really quick, if Zenith is still watching, he wrote some copy about pens that we reviewed earlier. Everything that Alex just said about window tint copy applies to fountain pen copy. People who wake up hot and horny for fountain pens, you don't need to do a whole lot of finessing or convincing to get them to buy a fountain pen. Yeah. They want the fountain. They want the fountain pen. Give me the fountain pen.
Yeah, it's the same in so much e-commerce. You know, I mean, we've talked about demonstration before and how it's the best form of proof, like without a doubt. But honestly, in so much e-commerce, I've spoken about beef jerky as well. But like with beef jerky, you know, the headlines that I have tweaked before have been shit like 1-2 beef. And it's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like people are searching for, I'm not joking, go to gotbeef.store right now. That is I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, that's a business I used to be involved with. Then I sold my stake, no pun intended. And then they got someone else in and changed it to that. And I was like, and they've now asked me to rejoin. Anyway, but it changed to 1-2 beef. Before it was something like, it was literally just like high protein beef snacks, highest protein per 100 grams in the UK, something like that. And that fucking killed, because guess what? People who are searching for beef jerky just want to know it's got a shit ton of protein in it for the most part, and the places we were advertising it.
So I actually am in the market recently for beef jerky in a heavy way. Like I am trying to hit protein numbers, and I don't want to do it with shakes. So I'm basically explaining the customer avatar. I'm trying to hit high protein numbers. I don't want to do it with shakes. I'd like to do it with meat. I've got like turkey, deli meat. I've got all these meats in my fridge. I've got egg whites, and it's like really difficult to hit high protein numbers. So I've started going to the store, and I'm in like there's a wall of like beef jerky selection. I'm the guy like looking on the back of the beef jerky, like who's looking at the nutrition facts. I'm like, I didn't realize how much sugar and like flavors they put on beef jerky. So there's only one package that's 0 sugar beef jerky, and I take like the package really is like it's like this big, but there's like 3 pieces of jerky in it. So I end up like grabbing like 7 of them. But like I know exactly what you're describing, where it's like this shopping experience for beef jerky is like for me it's like I'm trying to be healthy and at the same time sort of natural. So I'm not doing like a bunch of weird shakes and a bunch of all this. Like I'm not even like a big like carnivore or paleo or keto. I'm not even about that. I'm literally just looking for something that is like a fairly pure source of protein that's fairly natural and not loaded up with a bunch of junk and sugars and stuff like that. So it's like that when you said that, I was like, you're not wrong. Like it's just like when it comes to beef jerky, like will it check those boxes?
I will let you know when we go live again. I mean, it's live right now, but yeah, the story behind that was it was a business that we set up with a couple business partners. I then got way too busy, sold it. Someone else took over the marketing, fucked it, and I've now been asked if I can come back and ramp it up, which is something I want to talk to the Copy That audience about, which is going to be a new e-commerce thing. But I don't know if you've heard of it, Carl, but have you heard of beef biltong?
No, I've only recently like just decided that like I want to stop doing shakes. Like this was like this past week, and I just bought the jerky that I'm describing. I think yesterday, the day before. Like I just had this experience. So I'm not even like an enthusiast yet, or I've not even looked deeply into it.
So have a look up at biltong, Biltong. It's a South African like air cured jerky, like no sugar, less carbs, higher protein, really good for you. If that's what you're looking for. That's the kind of stuff we sold. So biltong and jerky. But yeah, it's what you're describing is exactly what, and for everyone watching, research is what told me that. I never ate beef jerky before. I wasn't crazy about protein, but just looking at the people who ate beef jerky and the people who were ordering and leaving reviews, they were all talking about like, oh yeah, great protein. But the product pages were not talking like much about the protein. They were trying to say, oh, it's a luxury snack, or it's great, or they were doing like a Wild West theme. So our whole shtick at Got Beef was and is loads of jerky and biltong packed in it. So it's sold in 250-gram bags. We had 4 bags to a box, so a kilo box.
What is that in freedom units?
Oh God, I don't know you colonials like way of thinking and measuring things. I don't know. Rod, you are worldly. What's a kilo in American?
2.2 pounds. But is that a volumetric take when you say?
I know it's about 15 troy ounces, but I have the American Silver Eagle thing over here, so you know
it's like 1.5 horse hooves. But yeah, but anyway, it's so I think we're going down to I think 150 grams per bag, just because it's better for shipping. So it's going to be 600 grams a box, and the whole shtick is we don't spend any money on packaging, we don't spend any money on labels like branding. It all goes into the quality of the jerky and the biltong, which is really good, in this silver and clear bag, which is straight from the factory, straight into a box with just a stamp on it. And the whole shtick for the advertising was, and we partnered with a lot of gyms, the whole shtick was, this is pure meat. Like that's what it is. We're not wasting money. We're not fanning around with, like all this stylish stuff and then marking it up 100%. This is all about just getting you the best quality beef for the cheapest price possible. And it fucking killed, because guess what? People who go to the gym and stuff, that's what they want. And it's so crazy to upsell as well, because then you can upsell like 2 kilos on the checkout.
I think like what's interesting about that is sort of the things that you were describing about some of what the competition was writing, and like you see other people are jacking it all up. It's almost like it's folks who are probably watching people like me and Sean who are teaching a fashion for how to craft copy, and then they're growing up knowing that this is the truth. This is we're the source of truth on this, because we are in the field. And so they're like, okay, what's my big idea around this beef jerky? But like, it's not a financial newsletter. It's like, I want beef jerky that's high in protein. So all they're looking for, all they're scanning the market environment for is beef jerky high in protein. They latch on, and that's that. And it can be that simple. I know, because people are always like, well, what about writing copy for e-com? And I always have to be like, well, I don't really do a lot of e-com. I don't have best practices for how I would sit down and write an e-com piece. I have best practices for what I do. So that's I love that it's like, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be like the secret judo trick. It could be like, you want beef jerky with protein? We sell beef jerky with protein.
But how many times have we spoken about this on Copy That? And how many times do I say to the audience, like, I genuinely believe that traditional direct response, like financial, health, etc., I think is the best market to start learning in, because it's going to teach you the right way to think about testing, to think about research, to think about the audience, to think about how you're writing. I think you need to then have the ability to take those core concepts and mold them to a different market. Sean, how often I say cross-pollination. And one of the greatest successes I've seen in my businesses is taking ideas, like taking ideas from like lifts, right? Taking ideas from how offers are constructed, stacking bonuses at the ends of offers. Like that does so crazy well in ecom, but no one does it. Just showing, you know, I've done a lot in snacks. I've done a lot in like, you know, dog treats and you know, like leashes and stuff like that. It's crazy how well just sticking in like, oh, and get this free digital guide on how to best train your puppy, or how like 17 vegan dessert ideas. Like that does crazy well because, and I only got that from thinking of, well, what does financial do? Hey, they chuck in free bonuses and they stack it up at the end and make it irresistible. E-commerce doesn't have the same mentality. So I'm still of the opinion, if you study in direct response, traditional direct response markets, like I did and like where I started, and then you take that to other places where there's not a lot of, you know, migration going from one place to another, you can get in and just dominate markets.
Yeah, we don't use order bumps in financial publishing. Like you could do order bumps for special reports for $10. And when we're talking about front end promotions, an extra $10 on your AOV could go a long way in scaling. It could be the make or break number. And so, I mean, I've been trying to get clients to do, like, I feel like
good fucking luck. I was on the bump train. You've been talking to Todd Brown, I can tell. This was in 2017. I was at a huge conference. Like every big name at Agora was there. Every big name in financial publishing was there. It was at this fucking resort in like Southeast Florida. And
the World
Todd
Marriott in Orlando.
It was something like that, but it was real fancy schmancy. And like, it was all expenses paid. It was 2 days. Like, all the gurus were talking, all the marketers were talking. It was a big idea fest. And Todd Brown spoke there. And Todd Brown was like, he gave a PowerPoint presentation. I don't remember if I have the details exactly right, but he was like, these are 15 things that I have seen that work out in the marketing world that financial copywriting and marketers do not do, but you should start doing. And one of them was the order form bump. And I just remember seeing like these marketers that have been doing this for 20 years, like writing down on their little, like, you know, hotel pads, order form bump. And it's like, literally, like, some cross-pollination is one of the secret ways that you can stand out as a copywriter or a marketer out in the world, because that is, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If somebody has already proven that there are ways to do things in one way and ways to do things in another way, finding a unique and effective way of blending the two things is going to be your ticket. And so
it feels like, I don't know, it feels like they don't, it almost feels like they want to have it so passive and so hands off and so automated that it's like, well, then we have to code a bump and then we have to like do all this. It's like, well, no, let's just have this page and the next page will be lifetime and then the next page will be an upsell. And it's like, you guys are like, I'm trying to help you, dude. Like, I'm trying to help. Like, when was the last time you had a scaling front end? Ask any major financial publisher. Like, ask it. Just scream it out. And then wait. When was the last time you had a front end you could scale? It's going to be very quiet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry, Alex and Rod, and everybody watching, all 5 of you who managed to make it 3 hours and 22 minutes into this. That's just a gripe that he and I have about the financial direct response world. It is perpetually stuck in 2003, and people have been trying to like bring it up to 2012 levels of like marketing sophistication and have just failed. And it's mostly due to a combination of, I think, lack of will, lack of vision, lack of willingness to like rock the boat, I think. I don't know, man. Like the approach, it's just it's ass backwards to me. But at the same time, like,
I honestly, that's just business.
Yeah.
There's not an industry I've been in a, you know, barring 1 or 2 maybe, there's not an industry I've been in the last 5 years that hasn't been the people at the top are living 15 years ago, because it's what they grew up on. It's what they were first taught. and they're now the ones in charge, and they don't want to change it.
Yeah, it's like a strike at their identity. Like, this is how we do things. This is how we've always done things. And it's like, yeah, but when you were in your infant days and you were like, I'm gonna make a change, that's how you got big. And that's actually what you were doing, is you were making a change. And then they get that's the thing now that worked for them for 15 years. They forgot it came from a place of, I'm gonna make a change.
Yeah, it's just, you've been doing something for 10 years, and then you don't want to admit that even though you're the perceived expert on it, that there's this idea that's been under your nose for 4 years that you just haven't seen or noticed. Someone comes out of the blue and says, why don't we try this?
Well,
Even
that's gonna
worse
be
when
me
it
and
works.
AI in like 1 year. I'm gonna be that
Oh,
dude.
man.
I'm gonna be like, AI is not even that great. Everyone will be like, what are you talking about?
Never bring up AI on a copywriting
Oh,
stream.
no.
Have you learned nothing? Oh, man.
Can of
Gonna have
worms.
15 people ask about ChatGPT now.
Yeah,
my
per
God.
day. And
Per day.
I've written several or made several videos like about it, like, and I've used ChatGPT for, and it's still like the copy it produces is basically and effectively unusable for me.
It's a good tool. I told my guys it's a tool. I told my guys I don't use it and I've never used it, but I was like, hey guys, here's an idea. If you need 3 instances, for instance, to prove a sales argument, don't go to Google. Go to AI and see what it gives you. Like, I need to see 3 times that centralized power resulted in disaster. Don't go to Google. Ask ChatGPT if they can give you 3 instances where this politician or big tech or some obvious high vision example that people can relate to. If AI will spit that out, don't use it to write don't ask it to do your job, you lazy ass bitch. Fucking do your job and use it as a tool. All right. Then you can, that's the way I see it. Like, just don't ask it to do your job for you. And back to that, Alex, you made a really good point about, you found out the beef jerky thing. I don't eat beef jerky. I just found out people love protein. Another great example is if you do the research. I say the research does the writing for you. You see, like, oh, this is all they want. You don't have to come up with this weird sort of like self-indulgent, like super dramatic, flowery piece of copy. You want protein? I got beef that's so loaded with protein. Come get some of this.
Like you said, it's that everyone, and I squarely blame you and Sean for this, but everyone is looking for the big idea. It doesn't matter what.
Wait, I can say this. I have always been vocal anti-big idea. I have always been a vocal anti-big
You've been
idea.
system, you've been process based. I've watched your videos for a few years, but it's your ilk. It's the financial writers among us. But like, yeah, it's the, and I don't blame anyone. It's just you need to have the right context whenever you're learning anything. And that is it. Kyle was so right. It's sometimes people just want to know that they're making the right decision. I did a whole masterclass on e-commerce product pages, and the best core lesson I can give for that is all you need to do is confirm people's suspicions. Like, just make it easy for them to say yes. That is it. That's all you're doing.
Wait, hold on 1 second. I need some clarity. Where can people access this product page masterclass?
I think they can access that one at patreon.com/the Copy That Show. I think.
Really?
But also, if they don't want to pay $20 for a page, because frankly it's a ripoff. If you want to just pay for that great product page, then I think if you go to copythatshow.com and go to our digital product section, I can't remember what it's called. I think it is called something like Get the Yes or Secure the Yes. I think remember.
So.
Get the yes.
Get the Yes. Which is about product pages. And it's my 4 years of learning product pages and learning how to break them down and what they're actually doing. And God, it's simple, but in a very complicated way.
The last thing I want to say about beef jerky before, Kyle, I show you something, and then I need to go and make dinner for my family. Here's what I want to say. Related to the big idea, where the big idea copy is useful in very rare circumstances. And even Mark Ford and Bill Bonner will say that maybe only about 40% of Agora's $1 billion+ in revenue is coming from big ideas. Most of it is coming from gimmicks or new angles or new ways of, positing things that people have just not seen before. Whereas big ideas, these huge, overarching, argumentative theses about the world related to something of great social import that one needs to protect oneself from, well, not a whole lot of copywriters are working in that milieu. All right. So your e-commerce copy for beef jerky or for window tinting or what have you, you don't need a big idea. And so that's related to this other thing that you'll see very often on copywriting YouTube videos, that you need to be able to turn features into benefits. There are actually 4 layers of this: features, advantages, benefits, and then deeper benefits. So like features and advantages, people sort of get it into their heads that they can't write features in their copy. And like sometimes just saying that this piece of beef jerky has 100 grams of protein in it per serving, that's enough.
You don't
Imagine
need to what protein
100 grams of protein injected straight into your pectorals as you bench press more than ever before, impressing all the ladies and wrestling Sasquatch.
Oh, that is so right though. That is what people think you need to do. I mean, can I piggyback one more point on beef jerky though, Sean? Because I don't want to make. I hear a dog. I don't want to be good. I don't want to make it seem like, oh right, like ecom copy is just fucking easy then, and like I just do this. There's certainly an element of that, and this is what sets, for example, the copy I've written in e-commerce apart and makes it do very well, is because, like I said a little while ago, I will still go the extra mile for objections and for finding out, okay, well, is there something else to them wanting this? Is there a reason they haven't gone with, we'll stay with beef jerky because we've been talking about it a lot. There's a lot more e-commerce products than beef jerky, obviously. But is there a reason they haven't been buying other beef jerky? Is there a reason they've been hesitant to so far? Is it because everyone else is talking about Huel and protein shakes and that a lot of celebrities are endorsing that? Therefore, maybe there's something. But do you tap into that deeper desire to feel natural, to feel more like a man, to feel like you've got that meat? And that's what, you don't need this fancy fucking stuff. Like, you don't need chemicals. You don't need this shit you need to shake and prep. Just eat a fucking pig. Just eat a fucking cow, right? Like, that's all you need. If you are going in with that simple, right, what do they actually want? I'm going to show them, I can give it to them. Backing it up with a ton of proof and then fighting their objections. A big FAQ list is perfect for that in ecom, but also giving them something that's different about your brand. Just like Kyle said earlier about like a USP, it extends beyond just your product. If you can make your offer or your brand feel very unique, very almost ultra beneficial, that you have a money back guarantee, that you talk about how you are a family-run business who's been doing this for ages, that you are outwardly saying, we don't waste any money on this so we can get you this stuff. You're injecting proof that most companies wouldn't even bother with into your landing page, into your product page, into the thank you email you send out, into the sequence that follows up that to upsell them on a subscription. If you are injecting this kind of stuff into these different places, you will still go further than if you didn't do it. So it's still so worth exploring and understanding these deeper concepts of copywriting. It's just that sometimes you need to clear the fog and realize, they just want to inject some protein into their fucking pecs. Like, that is it. All right, spiel over on beef jerky. We're a bit beef jerky heavy.
Yeah, dope mic drop right there.
Yes, sir. All right,
Sounds
Kyle.
like they just want a brand campaign.
Yeah.
Oh, God, let's not do that.
Earlier, Kyle, I mentioned that a J. Abraham headline that was like many hundreds of words long. All of his headlines are like egregiously long, but I wanted to ask you for your opinion on this. Because I don't know if you've read a lot of J. Abraham copy, but it's all kind of like this. All the headlines are like this. And it obviously worked for him. I have no idea if it would work anymore. I doubt it. But let's look at this. From the desk of J.L. Abraham to my friends and fellow entrepreneurs. Oh, that's a me. how a man Jay only refers to as Mr. X pirated $50,000 worth of Jay's closely guarded secrets and proprietary materials, then revealed everything to the public for much less than $500. In the now legendary marketing manual, Money Making Secrets of Marketing Genius Jay Abraham and Other Marketing Wizards, now, for the first time ever, fully digitized, nothing omitted, a no-nonsense guide to great wealth and personal fortune, now available for the first time in digital form. Jay saved this ex-client a nasty legal battle by seizing his inventory, claiming back all rights, and negotiating a huge out-of-court settlement. But what Mr. X had done turned out to be a brilliant articulation of Jay Abraham's life work. For a limited time, you can get a copy of the Money Making Secrets Marketing Manual in full downloadable version at the original price, plus 6 extra free bonuses. Is this a parentheses in the parentheses? Easily worth as much as the modest cost of the manual alone, plus a full 90-day guarantee for you to decide if you want to keep it. Order your copy of Money Making Secrets Marketing Manual. The story is a bit embarrassing, a little funny, and a lot unbelievable, yet every word is true, and the result of it happening is a wonderful opportunity for you to build rapidly on any business and marketing success you've either already realized or are about to embark on based on applying my methods. Here, in a nutshell, is the story. That's the headline.
I see what's happening. I would still call that a headline complex, and
yeah,
I would.
It's a headline complex.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd end it at the double exclamation there. I think I would. I think that'd be the end of the headline for me, and the rest of it I'll just call deck copy. Do you remember the We Snuck Through promo?
Yeah, vaguely.
We Snuck Through had like this kind of thing where it's like We Snuck Through was like the headline, and then there was just like never-ending copies. Like just get to it. Like then the deck copy was like 4 paragraph-sized bullets or something like that. Kind of basically, you know what, man? It kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like that shit at all. But it kind of reminded me of that.
We looked at this one ages ago, didn't we, Sean?
Yeah,
Extreme.
yeah. I like using this as an example of like copy, like a way of writing copy that worked during its time and that might be worth dusting off at some point in the future, but which, like, given the state of the world that we're in, like, I don't know if it would work that well anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it reads like old school copy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, so much of what we do nowadays to get people to read sales copy is very intrigue based. And there's obviously intrigue here, but there's also literally everything fucking else in here too.
You can look at, there's 2 mediums to check out. One is TikTok. And so my last girlfriend actually didn't have a TikTok account, I don't think per se, or she didn't follow anybody. Instead, she had like a top TikTok thing, like the top people. And so she would kind of get this. Some people, I guess, maybe the algorithm still fed her the same people on over. But one day we went off of like her, like she got fed this one random story. And so you can click the comments and click to the profile. And I was like, this was the worst TikTok I've ever seen. So we go to the profile and you see that all of them are horrible. They're not any good. And you start to recognize whenever you're fed the top TikToks, that it's actually the top 1% of creators, and that's why we keep seeing the same people. And then you recognize, whoa, they're really good at gripping attention. They're really good at keeping me here, because I've seen her, if it's a 60-second TikTok, I'll see them open a loop like you won't believe what happens next kind of thing. And I'll be like sitting there like waiting to see, and I'm watching. She'll be like, and she'll flip off like, 25, 30 seconds into it. I was like, well, we didn't find out what happened. She's like, I'm over it. And like, that is like the case in point, like the epiphany, like the epitome. I mean, like the absolute example of where the world is trending towards. And the second medium I would check out are the YouTubers that teach you how to YouTube. YouTubers that teach you how to YouTube always open it's always like right at that 10-minute mark, and they always open their content with, oh my God, you want to stick around to the end because I'm going to share the most exciting secret. And then about 2 minutes into it, they'll say, and this might be the most important lesson. And then 6 minutes into it, they'll say, and this might actually be probably the most important thing I've ever learned. And they always reset your hook. They always reset. And when I say that, what I'm trying to say is the days of like just having like this one intriguing element, like, ooh, what is that? I'm going to read 30 pages, I think are behind us, like Sean is saying. And I've even said this before, like Gary Halbert, we pay homage to the greats that came before us and we show respect. But I don't think that you should try to like reverse engineer one of Gary Halbert's sales letters and then try to write a Gary Halbert letter today for the same reason that I just laid out about like how people engage with TikTok and YouTube and these new forms of content. This creates a zeitgeist, a whole ecosystem of their expectations have been completely formed by their experiences. So when they see something, like that's just kind of like I need to know. That's why in every sales letter that I work on, if you don't have what's in it for me in the first 4 lines, I'm tossing it. If you're a really, really good writer who can hook me, I'll give you 6 lines. But if it isn't in the first 4 lines, for the most part, it's going straight in the trash. Spiel. End.
That was a good spiel. That, I think, is also a good place for us to end this particular critique stream. Kyle, thank you for agreeing to join us and for providing your delightful insights and tough love mostly tough love, to the people that submitted their copy. And also thank you to the people who submitted your copy. It takes bravery. It takes balls to...
Brass balls.
It takes brass fucking balls to put your copy on the chopping block and allow it to be chopped. And so I want to say that everybody who contributed copy, we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. And but especially thank you to patrons of the Copy That Show at patreon.com/thecopythatshow. You can't even submit copy unless you are a Patreon supporter. And so, it really all stems from being a patron. But also, if you want a book that is of all the books that I have read about copy, this is, I would say, in the top decile, like the top 10%. I've read a lot of bad books about copy, but Take Their Money is not one of those bad books. In fact, I remember reading the first, like, Kyle, like, you gave me a draft to read and like give you tips. And I just remember like being like, wow, this is really good. This like very succinctly and concretizes like everything. I think the only thing I pushed back on was the title.
Yes, you were like one of the original. You should probably not call it this person's. And I don't know, man. I'm glad I did it.
I still remember, Carl, in one of your videos, this must have been like 3-4 years ago now. I still remember in one of your videos, you said, I'm not sure if I'm going to change the title. So sure, that maybe that was Sean's influence, like 4 years ago before I even knew it.
Planting the seed of doubt in the back of my brain. Like, people might get outraged about this. I was like, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing.
But go and buy, seriously, guys, go and buy that book if you haven't already. It's a fantastic, I put it on the same, in terms of like what it taught me, I put it on the same level as like scientific advertising, and that it put me in the right frame of mind for thinking about copy. Like, it was so good for that. So that's, it's the same way scientific advertising made me feel about marketing strategy. Take Their Money made me think about copy.
I think also it's a really good book for showing people what modern copy can sound like. It is very conversational. It's very to the point in a way that most books we prescribe kind of suck at. It's not, best practices, yada, 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 talking like your great grandfather did. It's like, it's a real fucking thing you could read and digest in regular plain language. And I think that's a really important lesson for beginner copywriters to learn, because a lot of copy we get is like very fancy pants, trying to talk down and condescend to the audience from a position of authority, and it just doesn't have to be that way.
NESB, baby. NESB.
Yep. Anyway,
I feel good, man. Thank you.
Well, make sure to come back, and then we'll blow smoke up your ass a little bit more. And
it wasn't that good. All right, fine. It wasn't that good.
Yeah, it was okay. It was a perfectly tolerable book.
That was a book. Yeah, that's all right.
And so if you want perfectly tolerable copywriting content, make sure to subscribe to Copy Squad. Make sure to subscribe to Kyle Milligan. Make sure to subscribe to Copy That Show. And in general, just go and be a good person. Brush your teeth. Read a good book every now and again. Eat your vegetables. Buy beef jerky that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it. Kiss your kids goodnight. Try to save some money. Consider investing in precious metals, but don't put any more than 5 to 10% of your net worth into precious metals.
Work your glutes. Work your
glutes. Make sure you don't have a dead or asleep glute. Yeah, avoid back pain. And generally just have a good day. And that was the stream.
Yeah. Yep.
Stream.
Through that. Get a good
Peace
chat.
out. Copy that.